And we get it rolling on the Krueger Show after Warrior basketball. Game 3 goes to the Warriors. What a night. And we're getting things rolling on the Krueger Show on a Thursday night. Right now I'm solo, but I will not be solo much longer because we have a full crew invited tonight. Frank Red will be in the house tonight. Yes, he will. Frank's going to be with us in a few. The great Cyrus, I believe, is going to be in the house tonight after his Locked On Warriors finishes their Locked On broadcast. The great John Dickinson potentially could be in the house tonight, depending on how late he goes on 95.7 The Game. Will we have Battle Royale? Hopefully not. Hopefully we can all just get along. And we're going to have Bay Area Baller in the house tonight. That's right. The great Eric Price, Bay Area Baller, is going to be with us. It's going to be good. And we're going to have, that right there would be enough, right? Baller, Red, JD, Cy. That would be enough in and of itself. But I have also extended an invite to Danny. So we'll see if Danny joins us tonight as well. Let me double check on how he's probably watching. He's definitely watching Giants Mets, I got to think, right? I would imagine Danny was involved in Giants Mets, and that is a final Mets. Big winners over the Giants tonight. 9-4, 13 hits for the Mets. Pete Alonso hit his major league leading 9th home run, drove in 4 runs. And the Mets thump the Giants and Sean Manaea 9-4. 13 hits for the Mets, 7 for the Giants. So we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But we welcome Baller to the stream right away. Baller, good to see you. But
what's going on, Larry?
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Hey, feeling good. Big win tonight. Feeling great.
Huge win. We'll get into it in a second here. But I was just telling everybody tonight, even though I started solo, you're in the house. Frank Red's going to be in the house. We're going to hear from Cy. We're going to hear from Dickinson. Danny has been given an invite tonight, so I'm going to invite Danny back to the party. Hope him and Cy get along. Him and JD get along. We'll see if Danny can make it. And then he might be on his own channel right now. In fact, maybe I'll send Danny a little note. And then we're going to have the great Ryan Smith. From what I was told, from what I was told, Rye's going to join us. So I sent him an invite, and it's been a while since we've had him on, but Rye's going to join us. So it's going to be a freaking great night here on the Krueger Show. Man, we're going to get this thing dialed up. But let's talk a little bit about this basketball game. I got one thing one name I just got to throw out there before all else. Kavan freaking Looney. Oh my God. Throw out there. Danny, turn that volume down.
I got it down.
Yeah, Kavan freaking Looney was incredible tonight. Oh, my God. On 420, he had 4 points and 20 rebounds. How about that? On 420, Kavan goes for 4 points and 20 rebounds. And the Warriors, to me, that was the beginning. I mean, it started right there. 4 points, 20 rebounds, 9 assists from Kavan Looney. Kavan Looney is easily one of the most underrated players in the NBA. He's the guy knows how to play. His game is just it's a matter of who he's playing with and what you want him to do. He's got a much better face-up shooting game than we know because he doesn't need to do that on this team, so he never does it. But tonight, he was spectacular. 31 minutes, 9 offensive boards, 11 defensive boards. Warriors pull 18 offensive boards and we're +5 on the offensive glass. The 2 biggest factors in the game, for sure, was the Warriors finally controlled the offensive glass, winning that by 5. And then the other major story, to me, was not only did Kavan play well, and there were some other guys outside. Curry, of course, at 36. He was incredible. But Moses Moody was tremendous tonight. He played 16 minutes. He scored 13 points and grabbed 3 rebounds. And the Warrior bench, which got beaten badly in the first 2 games, stood up in this game. So very impressive out of the chute. So we've got Baller in the house. We've got Dan in the house. We are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. 2 locations, Emeryville, Corte Madera, best barbecue in Northern California. The great Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. Let's get that out of the way bright and early. Let's also make sure that we put our banner on the bottom that we always sometimes seem to forget for New York-style Italian sausage that sent us to Scottsdale last month, courtesy of New York-style sausage. We'll let the scroll go. And now, back by popular demand, most of I've heard a lot of the action on social media. The young female fans in our audience wanted this guy back. It's it's Ryan Smith. Rye, where are you?
Well, I think first of all, you missed the most important thing, and the main reason why they won tonight is my unwashed jersey from last year that won them the championship. That I won freaking game.
Nice.
No, it's actually this jersey's in shambles because I actually never did wash it. I spilled some stuff on it, and I looked up online how to clean a really nice jersey, and I saw something that said put it in the freezer. Well, so I put it in the freezer, and then you could chip away, so you don't have to worry about I don't know, getting the dye deeper in there or something. Of course, this fell off, so that's why I'm rocking it like a towel. Until at least I get some Gorilla Glue or something.
So how you been, man? We haven't talked to you in it's been, well, we of course saw you in spring training, so that was in March, but it's now April, late April. How you been? How's things going? Is there anything you want to? People have been asking about you. People says, "Where's Rye?" They're asking, "Are you guys all feuding?" I'm like, no, we're not feuding. We just saw each other in Arizona. We had a good time down there, but the audience wants to know how you're doing, what you've been doing. So what's going on, man? How are you?
Ooh, all right. So thanks for giving me the floor here, guys. So this is kind of a difficult thing to talk about. I actually, I think the only one here who really knows the full story, I called Dan because he just happened to call me on the day when I got out. But anyway, I just kind of reached a crossroads in my life where, I'm 27 years old. I know I want to marry my girlfriend, a longtime girlfriend, and as soon as possible. And, she's kicking ass and taking names. She's just about to graduate law schools. And then in another year, she'll also have an MBA. So she's just killing it. And I just kind of found myself, obviously I would not change a single thing about, coming to the Bay, hooking up with Larry and, doing everything we did. It's just insane that I was in the Niners locker room and talking to freaking Brock Purdy and all this really cool stuff. But unfortunately, I racked up some debt, just a couple, there was just a couple things that honestly, they weren't the real reason, but they were kind of catalysts towards it. And, I started using drugs about, I'm just going to keep it at that, at drugs, because I'm not going to get into specifics too much. But anyway, I'd say starting about December, and the use kind of went up and up and up. And I was just kind of trying to numb these feelings of dude, you got to find some fucking money, dude. You got to make some moves for your girlfriend. Oh no, wait. Oh, I might need a new job. Blah, blah, blah. All this kind of stuff just bouncing around my head. And I just got in a really dark place, and I tried to just push through it by kind of numbing out and just, keep going. Immediately when Dan decided to start his channel, I thought, you know what? Okay, here's a good opportunity. I don't know maybe something can happen there. He's down in Arizona. Maybe we do the spring training thing. By the time I was back for the second round when I saw you last, Lair, I was really struggling. And, I do think we got some pretty good interviews, but Oh God, it's not a Krug show. It's not for that guy. But anyway, so it just was getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And, the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back was, I got back from spring training, and then I find out that my grandma's health is just falling off a cliff. And, I'm living at my dad's, by the way, like I was living in LA with my girlfriend. Like, that's another thing. I'm like, okay, I'm, stuck with my dad, and, he's got to go to work still. He's a freaking big boy. And so I basically kind of became her primary caretaker for, I don't even know, maybe 45 days. It all blends together for me. But, yeah, anyway, eventually I got to a point where, I realized actually I had some clarity, and I was like, thank God my best friend is already, he's in recovery since he was 18. And so, I gave him a call, and he said, dude, just it's okay, bro. Just go to a detox center. Doesn't mean you're anything. Doesn't mean you're a label. Just go. You got to get your mind clear before you can make any decisions. So anyway, I checked myself. Thank God I checked myself in, because I swear to God, if a court or like somebody else like made me go, probably would not have taken it very seriously. But I checked in, I was that low, and I just tried to pick everything up like a sponge. And day by day, I kind of had some barriers break down, and, did a lot of crying for like the first time in a long time. And all of a sudden, all these emotions and things just really started flooding in. And, I listened to, the people there, people that were, in gangs, killed people, going all this kind of stuff, old timers, Vietnam dudes. And I was like, my God, all these guys sound exactly like me. So, I got to a point where, I made the decision, I am an addict, and I'm just going to work on this. And I gotta figure my life out. What I didn't realize about it is, like, it's not even so much the drugs and alcohol as it is, honestly, I didn't have any coping skills. So, that was like a very basic thing they're going over. And, it's like literally like, I felt like I was in, a 5-year-old, but, a lot of the stuff I was open to it. And, I found like, I'm finding some peace in my life for like the first time in a really long time. And, I'm just focused on, being honest, and I'm just so sick of holding on to resentments. And I didn't realize how much shit I was holding on to, and all the resentments I had for myself. And, honestly, my soul was kind of calloused. And, yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there, because I know, it'd be pretty easy for me to just pop on and come up with some bullshit. But, that's like what I would have done in the past. So I'm just trying to tell the truth. And it's a confusing, it's going to be a confusing journey. But, I figure as long as I tell the truth and I'm honest, that's probably going to be my best shot at, kicking this thing's ass. So just wanted to mention that at the top.
Amen.
Yeah, good for you, dude. That's the beauty of a forum like this. I mean, some of the people in the chat are just fucking embarrassing. I just want to say that right out of the chute.
Don't even, don't worry about it. It's all good.
But I mean, seriously, some of you guys got to check yourself for just a second. I'm not a robot. Danny's not a robot. Baller's not a robot. Sai's not a robot. We're actual people. And so we're friends. You guys are watching a show that we're doing together. So, yes, we're going to get to Kings Warriors, for fuck's sake. Just relax, all right? Everybody just needs to relax. Rye's our friend, and he's going through something, and we're going to be here for him.
I want to say thank you for sharing that, Rye. I thought that was really powerful. I think you showed tremendous amount of strength, and that's going to help somebody. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, honestly, the thing that kind of prompted it, so I would just, I don't mean to take any more time on this, but, I was walking around our very limited walking space at the treatment center with the head doctor there. And, he kind of took a liking to me, and we were just kind of chatting about life. And I was kind of trying to I was going through the stages of well, I can still smoke weed, right? And that's cool, right? No, oh no, I can't. But anyway, I was just running things by him, and I brought up the thing. I was like, I am on a YouTube show, or I was, before I stopped freaking responding to everyone and spiraled down. And I think there's probably a good chance they'll have me on to, for some of these Warriors playoff games, and I don't know what to do. And what he told me is look, man, you're a tall, white, reasonably good looking kid who looks like he's rich. Nobody's going to have any fucking sympathy for you. So, just be honest about this thing, because there's more people out there. It doesn't matter if it's drugs and alcohol, but there's just, fucking life, life is fucking tough. And it just, everyone, tries to hold it in and make it seem like everything's all good and dandy. But I thought, if I could help, anybody, one person in this stream, make them feel like, Ryan went through that. Oh, and he's talking about it like it's, not a huge deal. That's really why I wanted to come out and talk about it. So
yeah, good for you, dude. I admire, the willingness to show vulnerability in front of a public audience. But you know what? That's what this show has been about. The whole thing's been organic from the start, and that's why people watch. That's why people care. That's why the thing's doing well. And you guys are a big part of that. So anyway, we are going to get into Warriors basketball right here. We'll make that crazy awkward transition, but at the same time, Rye, you got a standing invite, to join us any night you want and be part of this in any way you want. So we can talk more about that. I didn't know you were going through that, and I was working with you a lot of those days. Just shows how out of touch sometimes maybe I can be. So it's kind of a perspective shaker for me. But hey, I just want you to know that, if you enjoy doing this, we'd love to have you, contribute in any way you feel that you can. Guys, an incredible night tonight for the Golden State Warriors. Wow. Seriously, wow. No GP2, no Draymond Green. They get wiped in the first two games. And I say wiped. It just felt like they didn't really have a shot at the end in either game. I went back to the first game before today's game 3, and looked at the first game, and I really felt like the Golden State Warriors did not get a single call inside of the last 5.5 minutes from the officials. In about 6 or 7 50-50 type situations, the call went against them every single time in that first game. Second game, of course, a different deal. Draymond gets kicked out. Once that happened, I thought Sacramento definitely took control. Then to see the league come down with the kick to the gut, no Draymond. And from what I've heard from my sources with the Warriors as an organization are livid with that call.
They poked the bear.
And it's like, you know what? Everybody says this thing, it's us against the world. It's us against the world. It's like one of the strongest, just us. I think they used to break the huddle. Baller, what year was it where they would break the huddle and be like, just us? One of those years. And they fired tonight, guys. They fired. That was tremendous effort from Kavan Looney. Wiggins, I thought, played a spectacular game. He was plus 17, 20 points, 7 boards, more rebounding like he did last year in the finals. Curry was outstanding. Klay Thompson still kind of finding his way, but Poole finally got off the deck. Kuminga made a contribution. Way to go, Kerr, going to Jermichael Green to match up with Alex Len. I thought that looked effective. They got some guys some touches. DiVincenzo had a couple great moments. To me, the biggest surprise was Moody. 16 minutes, 13 points. I loved what I saw from Moses. Let's go around the room and get your perspective on the game, because it was an incredible game. And, Kerr said it. I love Kerr's perspective. They're down 0-2. The momentum's against you. And they're like asking him about it yesterday. I was listening to JD and Dibbs, I think it was, interviewing him. And it was like, Kerr's like, hey, I just said to the guys, we just got to win one game. Let's just make it real simple. We got to win one game. We got to win one game. We've done that before. We know we can do it. Let's go prepare to win one game, and we'll take it from there. The momentum of these series shifts dramatically with each and every game. That's a guy who's been there. That's a calming influence on the team. In some ways, that supersedes a lot of these rotation, regular season crap issues that people call to attention about Steve Kerr. It's that moment that he really earns his stripes, or at least he earns his money, in my opinion. I'm being long-winded. Let's go around the room. Give me your thoughts on the game tonight. Rye, let's start with you.
Ooh, now please don't. Also, we'll move off it, but don't accuse me of just having some like rosy attitude now. But I honestly think that going down 2-0 to Sacramento was the best thing that ever could have happened for them.
What if the first chat's like, glad to see Rye's back conquering his fears, but he's softly positive. Could you get him off the show? He's got to go if he doesn't start ripping somebody now. No, but go ahead.
We could do that for a giant show.
Yeah. Well, that's later tonight.
You mean? Well, by the way, I would talk to Dan just for a second before this, and I was like, you know what, Dan, you should maybe consider changing to a Texas Rangers show, the first place Bruce Bochy Texas Rangers. But anyway,
maybe a hybrid. Hey,
anyway.
Rangers fans, we're brought to you by Belt Buckles R Us. Get these belt buckles. They're the size of a manhole cover. $19.99. It says NorCal Sports Network with a picture of Bruce Bochy. All right. There you go. Go ahead, Ryan. What'd you think, though? I mean, great win for the Warriors. I mean, this was the gut check, man. They had to have this one, no matter who was playing, and they got it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way I thought about the first two games was, I mean, it's really unfortunate that they didn't get one, but at the same time, it's like they've been like an all-time historically bad road team all year, and they were in both games for Sacramento. You could have won either game. I mean, it was tied with like 4 minutes left or 6 minutes left in both the games at some point. But, so they didn't win those. But at the same time, like Draymond's like the same guy who's saying, who do you want, in the playoffs? And he's like, oh, Sacramento, because it's a quicker drive. Like they were looking ahead so much. And I don't think Curry just looked like that dude tonight. And it's just so hard to remember. But it's like as the series goes longer, I think if it's 2-2, all of a sudden everyone's going to start talking about, oh, the Warriors snatched the momentum back, and then I don't know if Sacramento is going to be able to handle that. I think the Warriors win, they're going to win the next two games and then have a chance to close it out in 6. So
I love it.
Yeah. Baller, give me. Well, by the way, Fozzie says $1.99. Here's $2 for Rye being back. Give it to Rye. There you go.
I still believe in this team, and I was believing going into the game. We believe was the Warriors' mantra back in 06 and 07. Like you said, Laird, their back was against the wall tonight. They fought hard. All right. Kavan Looney, you already spoke to it. He was a monster. 20 rebounds. I was going back in history, and we have to go back 8 or 9 years to a player who had over 700 rebounds in a Golden State uniform, and it was Draymond Green back in like 2015. So Kavan Looney was spectacular. Steph Curry, Kavan Looney, Steph Curry, those were the two best basketball players on the court tonight. And then two-way Wiggs, he's all the way back, fellas. The shot was falling. He was making things difficult for De'Aaron Fox. And then the other thing I wanted to point out was this swarming defense. The Warriors had this swarming defense where sometimes they were double or triple teaming on Sabonis. It wasn't every time. They were keeping him off guard. But 13 steals by the Golden State Warriors. I believe DiVincenzo had 4 tonight. 13 steals is incredible. I believe the Raptors led the NBA in steals per game, and it was like 9.4. So 13 steals, absolutely incredible. The defensive energy was off the charts. Moses Moody made a positive impact. Kuminga, I thought Kuminga looked pretty good. Almost dunked all over.
Oh,
Alex,
that was
man.
going to be a ridiculous jam if he got over the top there. That was going to bring the house down, man. Kuminga is so fun to watch. I mean, that guy is just the strength on Kuminga is crazy.
Yeah, in a league full of athletes, he's in the 1%.
Yeah,
and then DiVincenzo, he was spectacular. The
terrific
percentage
player.
Yeah, the shot wasn't falling probably as much as he would have hoped, but he had that sweet finger roll to close out the first quarter. He's attacking the glass like he does every single time he's on the court. That's what I love about DiVincenzo. And then he was dishing it out. He had like 7 assists tonight. So he was also a playmaker.
I'll tell you another thing I thought was key. Wiggins coming into this series, they said it at the beginning of the game, and I jotted it down. Wiggins was 3 for 16 on threes in the first 2 games of this series. Tonight, way more efficient, 50%. Took 6, made 3. I mean, that was huge too. Danny, give us your thoughts, man. Oh, by the way, we got a couple super chats let's throw out before Danny jumps in. 49er George. Big win for our Dubs, Larry. I need more from Poole, but everyone showed heart tonight. Cheers. Thank you, 49er George. Appreciate you. And we got this one from 808 Niner. It says, Moses faking Moody. This is why Kerr pisses me off. Think how good Moody and Kuminga would be if they played in the regular season. Wiggs looks like he's in shape. Now, I thought the same thing watching that. I know it's going to be one of size things. It's like, oh my God, Moses Moody. Somehow I don't understand. He seemed really, really polished at Arkansas, and for whatever reason, he just hasn't been able to get on the floor with the Warriors and with Kerr, and it's just they can't get a roll for Moody. Danny, give us your thoughts, man. What'd you think?
Yeah, just a great effort. You knew that they were going to come out and with full intensity for 48 minutes. They had to. Their backs were against the wall. But I really think – I thought about this before the game. I thought, because, you're thinking, oh, Draymond, you're reading all this stuff. Everybody's like they're going to go down 0-3. And then you read about Peyton right before the game is sick. And it's like – and I'm thinking they're still going to come through. They've got guys like DiVincenzo and Poole. And I thought about, Moody and Kuminga, and I said, hey, and Jermichael Green will probably get some minutes because they had to, they had to go to those guys. So what I'm looking at is this team is, I think the Draymond Green, not getting kicked out, not the antics, not all that. The fact that the league suspended him, I think you poked a bear because you have veterans that realize how tough it is to win, and they're looking at this and saying, they got to feel like, if I'm a player, I'd be like, oh, they got it out for us. Come on, everybody. We're going to have to play even harder to win this thing. We're going to have to beat not just the Kings or the Lakers or the Nuggets, whatever. We're going to have to beat the officials. We're going to have to beat the league because and whether that's true or not, they're going to internalize it and use that to take this run. I think that's what fuels them is like, you didn't want us to win it again, but we did. I just think that's how, veterans, they're tough, and they're not going to, if they don't win it, it's not going to be because of effort. Now they realize, like Rye said, going down 2-0 never happened before in this Curry era. It's a wake-up call.
I'll tell you what I'll tell you what I want. I want Game 7. I want Game 7 Warriors Kings in Sac. I want to see Game 7 in Sac. That's what I hope we get Game 7 in Sacramento because I really think the Warriors are going to win that game. That's the game that I think. It's funny. I heard Wilbon at the beginning of the series on ESPN. It was weird the way he said it. It was almost like somebody had handed him a script. He's like, I could see the Kings winning the first 2 at home. I could see the Warriors winning 2 in Oakland. I could see The Kings winning Game 5 in Sacramento. I could see the Warriors winning Game 6 in San Francisco. I said Oakland before. In San Francisco, just have it. And then he goes, and I could see the Warriors beating the Kings in Sacramento in Game 7. And it's like, wow, the way he said it, it was like, geez, my God. It's almost like somebody handed Wilbon the script, and he's so high up there, somebody might have. Frank's in the house. James Foster is donated. He says $2 for Rye being back. Frank, good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you gentlemen doing? What's up, Rye?
What's up, Frank?
My God.
What's up,
man.
Frank?
Baller, listen, dude. When Anthony Lamb walked in that game,
No, man, we're not counting that. We're not.
do you know how happy I was? Do you know how happy I was when I said, you know what? I'm going to be a co-star in a wonderful evening with Bay Area Baller and his lovely bride, man. I felt so great. Word is bond, man.
Looking forward to it. But Lamb, he made a quick cameo. He didn't really have too much of an impact on this game. It was Moses Moody who really stepped up, and it's like, Kerr, all year you've been barely playing Moses Moody, a bunch of DNPs, and now come playoff time, all of a sudden you got to use them. It's like, where was he during the season? But let's kick it to you, Frank. I want to hear what you thought of this game.
Yeah, we've all given our thoughts, Frank. What'd you think? Great win for Golden State. They had to have it.
There is nobody who had that uniform on tonight who did not play well, in my opinion. And we've talked about the Moses Moody scenario. He's too good a guy, which is why I think he's kind of gotten the short end of the stick. He can play. He just needs extended minutes and almost out of necessity. I want to give Kerr some credit, but it seems like out of necessity, he said, go out there and play. And he did, and he played extremely well, 13 points, 16 minutes. And he makes veteran plays. I love the way that he plays because he doesn't look like a rookie. He doesn't look like a second-year guy. He looks like somebody who belongs. I'm really excited about him actually playing next year. I think there was a private conversation with Kerr and Stephen tonight. I think Kerr said, Steph, I know you like to get your teammates involved, but we can't lose this game tonight. You have to be not only a scorer, but a facilitator. And I think Stephen was, and he gave everybody a lot of confidence by his ability to make the right pass at the right time while also being an offensive leader. Defensively, the entire team was tenacious. They were rotating well. They were rebounding. I said on Twitter that I thought that JaMychal Green should start. And guess what? He didn't start, but when he came out there, he was a physical presence. So I'm encouraged. I thought that they would win, regardless of Draymond and GP2 not playing. But I'm really excited with how they play. They got to duplicate that on Sunday. But if you are a Warrior fan, you have to be excited about the effort that they put forth tonight.
It's a great game. Great win. The bench stood up. The bench got hammered by Sacramento in the first two games. And the bench in this game was much more favorable for Golden State. First of all, Golden State won 19-13 on the offensive glass. That was a huge departure from game 1 and game 2. The Warrior bench had 25 points, 17 rebounds. Kings bench had 17 rebounds, but 20 points. But Sacramento's bench had been really rolling in the first couple of games of the series. I thought the length of Moody bothered Fox a couple times. But Kavan Looney, 4 points, 20 rebounds, 9 assists for Kavan Looney. To me, guys, 420 on 420. Sorry for that, Rye, but we what can we say? But to me, and I don't know where you guys are on this. He might be the most underrated aspect of this Warrior dynasty. And I'm just kind of wondering, one, if you guys agree with that, if you think there's somebody who's more underrated than Looney in this dynasty, and then who would you say is the most underrated, giant of their dynasty or the Niner of their dynasty? Because it's definitely Looney. My goodness, for the Warriors, this guy just continues to play huge in big minutes, and he knows how to play. And you can get, tonight without Draymond, he needed to be more of a facilitator. And all of a sudden, boom, he snaps his fingers, and he's got almost a triple double as far as assists go. He almost got to double figures there. Very impressive player with all kinds of elements of his game that I get the feeling there's a lot more there. We just don't get to see it because he plays a certain role on this team. But he was phenomenal.
Looney's special, man. I absolutely love Kavan Looney, and he's been doing great as of late. But how about we take it back to what he did against the Houston Rockets, whenever that was, when James Harden – the Rockets used to just try to ISO Looney with Harden until they figured out it wasn't going to work. Because Looney, he moves his feet so well for being a center. He can stick in front of smaller players. And Looney was the reason the Warriors came back to beat the Rockets, whatever year that was they were down. Looney's just he's an all-time Warrior, in my opinion. Like, I'm thinking of just the bigs that we've had. In my era, Eric Dampier had a couple good years. Andres Biedrins, he was pretty solid, double-double guy. But just
I think Looney's earning himself a statue.
Hey, I'm not going to argue against it, Dan. Of my era, Looney is the best center, the best Warriors center of my lifetime.
Bogut was pretty awesome that first year, and he was really good during the regular season until he got injured in 2015-16. But
Bogut was good.
I feel you. Looney didn't miss a game last year, and just like the fact
this year
or this year, and the fact that he's willing to be like he's like a 6'9" small forward, and you like go watch his like high school mixtape, and he's just basically playing point guard.
He was Kevin Durant. They were saying he was the next Durant.
And even in the draft, he was a small forward. And every single big guy in America, I can even relate to this a little bit. They all want to be guards. You're a big guy, especially if you're a tweener. You want to be a guard. You want to be ball handling. You want to be on the perimeter, especially if you were allowed to do that in college. And to get that double hip surgery, which I also had in high school, I know that I came back and I was like, well, I can no longer play on the perimeter. I'm just now I'm going to be some back to the basket stiff. And I just never really put in the effort, honestly. And now it's like you see Looney, he's just completely embraced it. And he's just a total stud. And he just boards over everyone. And he loves it. It's awesome, man, how mature he is.
I don't know how he gets some of those rebounds. I have no idea how he gets the amount of rebounds.
Those long arms.
He has long arms, but
heart.
Yeah, he doesn't give up plays, man. He just
reaches over,
he
tips
just keeps
it up.
working. Yeah. So I admire him. I think that he's the guy who, when they have all of the all-time great teams, 10, 15, 20 years from now, he's a guy that will light people's eyes up. I don't know about a statue and his stats, but anybody who played with him will be the first one to stick their arm out to shake his hand and to give him a big hug, because he's that vital to everything that the Warriors do. He's easy to coach. From a coaching standpoint, you got to have guys like Looney who you can coach effortlessly. And he's one of those guys. So, yeah, I know his teammates love him. The fans love him. And he's underappreciated still.
Even monetarily.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Really, a really, really good basketball player, really smart player. The other thing I thought was interesting tonight is that, the one part of Sacramento's game that you just don't notice when he's not there, you only really notice him when he's there, is Malik Monk. And, man, the Warriors kept Malik Monk quiet tonight, man. Rough night for Monk. 25 points, 1 of 9 from the field. Took 4 threes and missed them all. Didn't get to the free throw line.
Minutes.
25 minutes, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists for Monk. To me, guys, that's a huge part of this. If Malik Monk can go for 25 or 30, you're not going to beat Sacramento. But if Malik Monk can be somehow kept down, you got a great chance to beat him because they rely on his offense off the bench.
I thought tonight the way they played their offense much better, less turnovers, but when they would trap Curry out, between the circles, the top of the circles. He would throw it into Looney, whether he just lopped it in. Looney was wide open, which Looney would drive to the lane. Then they'd collapse on Looney. He'd bounce past to a cutting from the baseline. And it was like, that's what the Warriors do best. They got back to the basics tonight. Didn't try, even though they still shot 53s, they had a lot more activity in the paint and were, kind of putting it to Sacramento with ball movement. And Sacramento's not that great defensively. That's their weakness, is in the paint. Attack.
Look who's in the house. We got
Ryan.
the great Rye from Locked On. We've got the great Cy Sotsis now with us. Rye's here. Danny's here. Let's all be on our best behavior. Baller's in the house. Red's here. I'm here.
Ryan,
Cy,
I heard Ryan's back. I couldn't resist the invite, man. How you doing, brother?
Do you see? I've got the jersey. It's unwashed, and it's and another dub, baby.
Where have you been, man? What's going on?
So, I mean, I don't know if I want to necessarily derail the whole thing. I would say, Cy, go back, and I have no problem talking about it, but I'd say to not derail everything, I'd say go back and rewatch the beginning of the Krueger show, or I'll talk to you afterwards.
Okay, all right, that's fair. So that's just that bad, huh?
Well, but he just doesn't want to get into it because he went into rehab and he's been going through some things, but he's out and he's back with us, and we're happy to have him. And
may I ask one question? And if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. What is it for? Is it booze? Is it drugs? What are we talking here? Can I ask that?
What I just said? I just said drugs.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. I'm not doing the California sober thing, so unfortunately, I'm not celebrating today.
Oh, I see. Happy 420. Yeah. It's Rocco's birthday. You can celebrate that.
Okay. I think it's also Adolf Hitler's birthday, so that's it.
Is it Hitler's birthday today too? Oh wow, that's
unbelievable.
Well, that's unfortunate. If you're gonna derail the show, Ryan, that's how you do it. You bring up.
You know what?
Seriously,
You're right.
Can't go there. MF says the most underrated Giant. We were talking about underrated players. As you see how quickly I change the subject. That's a veteran. That's a veteran hand there. MF in the chat says underrated Giant Yasmero Petit. Yasmero Petit. So we went from a terrible terrible dictator to a very underrated Giant.
No, Robbie Thompson. Robbie Thompson's not the most.
No, it's a younger audience on YouTube, but they don't go Robbie Thompson.
Gotcha.
Cy, what'd you think, though?
That was a good question. Like, who is the Looney of the Giants dynasty? Because I'm trying to write down names right now, and I can't quite pinpoint it.
Yeah, we were saying Looney's the most underrated part of the Warrior dynasty. I mean,
Jeremy
look what he did
Affel
tonight. Danny St. Jeremy Affel. I might. Well, yeah, Javi Lopez would not be a bad call at all.
Romo.
You know what? I think it's probably. Well, I think it's. It's been a lot of different guys along the way, that's for sure. But I would have said Brandon Crawford. I mean, he had that big grand slam against the Pirates in the wild card game. They went on and won the World Series that year. Somebody saying Marco Scudero, Buster, Candy Maldonado. Stop with Candy Maldonado.
How about Matt Cain? Just never quite the top pitcher, but just consistent as hell. Never missed starts.
Never complained about getting no offense. But Cy, what'd you think? What'd you think of the win tonight? Great win for the Warriors. Looney was huge. Moses Moody was huge. Steve Kerr, I thought, set the right tone. I heard him on 95.7 yesterday, and he said, "Hey, look, what did I say to my team? I said, guys, we didn't play very well. We didn't get any rebounds. We turned the ball over too much. If we don't turn it over and we rebound the basketball, we just got to win one game." And to me, the way he framed it was so simple, and his team responded tonight.
Absolutely, man. I was just elated for a few reasons. Kerr did make adjustments tonight. I'm not going to apologize to Steve Kerr because, look what he did the first two games, first of all. But secondly, I love the adjustments. The only thing I would have added was play JaMychal a little more. I feel like you can match JaMychal Green with Alex Len's minutes. It was great to see that 7-footer lumbering out there with someone to finally match up with him and not let him dominate the Warriors roster. But the players that stuck out to me, besides the obvious ones, were JaMychal Green, most of this will not show up on a stat sheet. Like JaMychal Green's contributions will not show up on a stat sheet. Jonathan Kuminga's may or may not show up on a stat sheet. But one thing with Jonathan Kuminga too that I was on Greg Silver's podcast today. I didn't realize Mike Silver's son is like a burgeoning media personality. So
didn't know that either.
Yeah, so and he's a board op at KNBR, man. So I have a little connection with him. Rye, you probably have that too. And so I went on his podcast today, and one thing I've been brought up before, and I don't know why I didn't think of articulating this, is that Kuminga, he's the only player on the roster that can light it up with his athleticism in terms of these just explosive dunks, these really lightning fast attacks to the rim. And those kinds of actions, man, the slam dunk is what engages the audience. People love it. And he's one of the only players on the Warriors who can really just completely slam the rock and can attack the paint, without impediment. And they were missing that in games 1 and 2. If there was one thing they could have done to shut that damn Sacramento Kings crowd down a little bit, was Kuminga out there just rocking the rim. And Kerr playing him a whopping 3 minutes, 56 seconds in game 2, following a solid 10-minute performance in game 1, was just a crime to me. So I was really stoked that we saw Kuminga tonight. Moses Moody, though, to me was the player of the game. I thought what he did in those 13, 14 minutes was just exemplary, man. For a 20-year-old kid to go in there and have the confidence that he did, it was just very impressive. So happy birthday, Rocco, and Moses, part the seas, brother. You did great tonight. Let's see more.
Do the Warriors not? Was this a big win for the? I mean, beyond obviously big win. It's a big win.
Huge.
But are we gonna? Is people gonna point to this win as a reason to move on from Draymond Green? Like, oh, they don't need Draymond Green. I hope not.
I thought you might bring that up. I don't know. I think it depends a lot on what happens the rest of the year. Like if this Warriors team shocks the world and wins a 5th title, which I don't think anyone's expecting at this point, unless I don't want to speak for any of you, but that would be a shock at this point, because for them to pull this off 3 more rounds, if they get past the Kings, is asking a lot at this point. But if they somehow shock the world, Draymond's not going anywhere, obviously. But if they fall short, yeah, I mean, I think that is a reason, looking back to this game, when Draymond, decides to opt out of his player option. I don't think he's gonna take that $27 million. I think he is going to opt out, just because there's so many teams out there who will be dumb enough to offer him like a 4-year, $125 million contract that he will take. So that will be an excuse for the Warriors to say, we can't afford that. So buy Draymond. We love you, respect you. We'll build a statue outside Chase Center for you when the time comes. I think in that regard, if the Warriors don't win a title, yes, I think that will play a factor. I would agree with that.
God, man, that does not make me happy at all. Hey,
Why?
one thing, well, because I want Draymond Green to be here, and I just feel like, they got a nice win tonight, but a lot of things had to go their way. It was kind of a weird game, too, in that I felt like Sacramento never really threatened. Did Golden State go wire to wire in this thing?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, they went wire to wire. It just felt like Sacramento was never in this game. Almost like it was like they knew they had poked the bear. They knew it was the Warriors' time to win. And it was weird. I mean, it was just kind of a weird game where it just felt like Golden State was going to win from start to finish. I never felt like Golden State wasn't going to win. But I want to ask you guys all this question, and we'll go around the room on this one. Who is more in control of this series at this point going into Game 4? Is it the Warriors who get the win and nobody's won on the road yet? The old saying, a series doesn't start till somebody wins on the road. Or is it Sacramento still up 2-1? Baller, let's start with you. Who's more in control of the series?
I'm going to go. Technically, it's the Kings because they are up 2-1. But if you ask me who do I think is going to win the series, I'm going with the Warriors. So I don't know how you want to split that. I guess I'm going with the Warriors because I think ultimately they're going to win this series. That's my answer right there.
We get to a 55 and over community for this answer.
I'll just second what Baller said. I agree 100%.
Very strong answer there from Arizona. Rye?
I think the Warriors are in control because they won because they didn't have Draymond or GP. So Draymond still got his pissed off game in him. he does not want it to look like, oh my God, these guys took care of business without me, especially after the suspension. And just the longer the series goes, I mean, advantage Dubs, they've got the experience. I don't know if this is just being too fairy tale. I've seen it, I'm just wishing the best for them and all that. But I think that they lost those first 2 games and, they had a look at their mortality, the run. I mean, Draymond, this could be Draymond's last run. This could be Bob Myers' last run. Steve Kerr has 1 more year left.
No.
I'm just saying.
I'm expressing my wish, not what's going to really happen.
Yes. So, but I mean, and Curry, the most important thing is that Curry's looked like awesome all 3 games. And like he's pacing himself and he's still going off. If it got to a game 6, game 7, that man is not letting him lose.
Frank, more control of the series, the Warriors or the Kings?
I think the Kings are right now. I mean, I picked the Warriors to win the series. I'm not going to get off that. I'm never going to bet against Steph Curry. But here's the deal. When you have to look at these games individually and not get too far ahead. If there's an injury to like Steph Curry, the Warriors are in trouble. So all things being equal, yeah, I think the Warriors win game 4 and let's go for the next 3. But they're still down 2-1. Anything can happen. And I think if you allow your players, a fanship, or whomever to look too far down the road and take your focus off what's right in front of you, you can get in trouble. A lot of things went right for the Warriors tonight. Sack missed a lot of open shots. I think the Warriors have to play even better on Sunday to win game 4. So I think Sack's in control, but I think the Warriors will win game 4 and ultimately win the series.
Cy, what do you think? Who's more in control of the series, Warriors or Kings?
I still think right now it's Sacramento, just because, like everyone said, it's 2-1 series lead. But, and so this is a huge but. Games 1 and 2 were insanely close. I mean, the Warriors could have won, making a 2 different times a last-second game-winning shot. One by Wiggins, who should have attacked the rim on that play instead of shooting 3, and then Steph Curry with that weird shot at the end. They barely lost game 1 by 3. Game 2 was also close. I think they were only down by 1 with like 3 minutes to play when Clay suddenly found his shot for a moment there in the fourth quarter and went on a flurry. So they lost that game by 8. In just one game, the Warriors took over the differential. They've outscored the Kings in this series already in just one game. It was the first blowout game. The Warriors showed tonight that they could dominate this Kings team if they want to. The Kings have never shown that they could dominate the Warriors. Both those games in Sacramento were incredibly close. And again, I feel like the Warriors let game 1 slip away. That was just a super huge bummer. But the confidence that this Warriors team will have if they win game 4, especially in the same format that they want tonight, I think game 4 will change a lot. So if the Warriors go into game 4 and dominate, they're going to have a lot of confidence rolling into Sac, man. What I really hope, what I'm praying for, is that Steve Kerr will not revert back to not playing the players that made a huge difference tonight. I mean, you got to play Moody. You got to play Kuminga. You got to play JaMychal Green. I actually thought Anthony Lamb played a perfect amount tonight. Like if Anthony Lamb was playing,
he had a nice block. He had a really nice block.
He was just great in his 7-8 minutes. That is the Anthony Lamb that is serviceable, man. That is the Anthony Lamb that could actually help you. Not a 20 minutes, not starting games, but 7-8 minutes. I'm on board. I don't mind that. So if Kerr continues this formula, he's going to have to reintegrate Gary Payne II, whatever his illness is. I still don't know. I don't know if anyone else has figured that out, what's going on with him, because I feel like if it's like a flu or a cold, he would tough it out and play. It was weird that he sat out. But with Gary Payne II back, with Draymond back, obviously you're going to have, adjustments again. And I don't know if that's going to cost, Moody and JaMychal, but I hope Kerr maintains this trust based on the results tonight. And I think if they win game 4, they got momentum, and game 5, it could be like it could be over in 6. It really could. Just because the Warriors have been in this position before, down 2-1. They were in this position against Memphis. They were in this position against Cleveland the year they won the title. They've been in this spot where they pulled off 3 straight being down 2-1, and I think they could do it again. So game 4 will be huge, I think.
I think the Warriors are more in control of the series. Here's why. Because the Warriors have the most convincing win. The Warriors are the team that has won the title. They're the team with all the jewelry. They're the team with all the wins. The Kings are still an unproven team that won a couple games at home. The deeper this thing gets, let's see if they get tight. we've seen 3 games. I haven't seen Murray look good in any of them. So that he hasn't gotten going. And to me, I think Golden State. But your size right. I think how Kerr's got to find a way to use some of those younger guys, because the younger guys are the length. Moody and Kuminga provide length. Length, I think, is what's going to bother some of these Sacramento players. The other guy that I thought was outstanding tonight that we haven't talked about, how about Dante DiVincenzo with the one-hand finish over Alex Len to finish the first quarter? Warriors went on a 6-0 run to go up 9 at the end of the first quarter. I thought DiVincenzo had some moments in this thing that were spectacular. I love what I saw from DiVincenzo. But I think Golden State, because I think Golden State's more in control because they got the most recent win. They got the most convincing win. And the Kings looked – if the Kings were non-competitive in this game, are they going to be competitive in the games? Because Warriors were competitive. Warriors could have won Game 2 if Draymond doesn't get ejected. The Warriors had a chance to win both games, and 1 and 2. Exactly. It's not like they got run off the run out of the gym. And it's like, I could picture Golden State winning Game 5 there or winning Game 7 there. So I would say Golden State, because of their experience and because of the convincing nature of this win, is more in control of this series. I know people are going to say, it's a homer take, but I'm sticking with it.
No, but I agree with you. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
If you don't mind, I just want to say too, this Kings team is good. This Kings team is really good. I don't want to take away from the fact that the Warriors lost games 1 and 2, not because of their own mistakes, although they played a part, but they're good, man. I want to give them the respect. With that said, it's not like this Kings team blew the doors open in the regular season. 48 wins is not that great. It's okay. It's not that great. So, yeah, I do think – I'm with you, Larry. I do think that the Warriors, they should beat this team, man. The defending world champions, the Kings have no postseason experience. They have a lot of flaws, man, that showed themselves tonight. So I'm with you. I just wanted to add that.
Let's move this around. Okay, now obviously Green comes back. He's obviously got to reintroduce him into the lineup. GP2 is going to play. Let's go around the room here. How does Kerr do this, Frank? How does Kerr switch up these minutes and get this thing rolling where he can bring Green back, he can bring GP2 back, but still he can take advantage of the athleticism that he's got with some of the younger guys? Who gets squeezed here? Who gets squeezed out, basically?
I think you look at the game from this perspective. When they watch the tape, they're going to look at energy. Have a grading system on energy. The guys who played with energy like they did tonight, they deserve to be on the floor. So that way you take the reputation away from the player, with the exception of Steph Curry. Everybody and Looney, everybody else is really about energy, even GP2 and even Draymond Green. So that's how you rationalize playing these young guys. When you watch the tape as a team and you see guys closing out correctly, you see guys boxing out, you see Kuminga diving to the basket, that is your evidence to say, you know what, regardless of my history and how I feel, I must put this player on the court because they are playing with the energy level that I need everybody to play with. And then like Kerr does, whomever's playing well at that point, then they play moving forward. But everybody has to get on the floor because the energy level tonight was outstanding. And I believe that's what won the game.
What do you guys think? Baller?
Yeah, I think you're stealing. Looney played 31 minutes tonight. You're probably taking 5 minutes or so off of Loon. Anthony Lamb's minutes, I think, go bye-bye. DiVincenzo, he played great, played 27 minutes. You'll probably, he might lose 6 or 7 minutes. So you're taking 5 or 6 minutes away from multiple guys, and that's what's going to add up to Draymond and GP2 when they get back in the lineup.
Rye, what do you think? Who gets squeezed if you bring back GP2 and Draymond? Somebody's going to have to take a step back.
I like the idea of limiting Looney's minutes a little bit if you can do it, just because, you just never know what kind of, I think they're going to get a decent whistle because they're at home, but you just never know. And I don't know. I get so frustrated when Looney picks up, seems like he picks up quick fouls. sometimes, not necessarily his own fault, but it just depends on who the ref is. So yeah, split those minutes, and I guess maybe lamb, chop them lambs, chop them
Get rid of the
lamb.
Lamb minutes. Danny, what do you think? Who sits when they bring those guys back?
I would say that history would tell you that Jermichael Green may sit. Kerr hasn't played him much, and he kind of played him tonight because, they didn't have anybody to back up, Looney. So Draymond kind of does that. So I think probably he doesn't get 10 minutes. Lamb doesn't get any minutes. Poole got 28. He'll probably get 23, 24. DiVincenzo, same, 23, 24. I mean, you just kind of splice up the pie, and then Peyton gets his 20, 25 minutes. Probably get closer to 25, I would think, if he's healthy. One thought I thought of, I don't know what's wrong with Peyton, but he may have what's been going around a lot. I mean, I've got it. It's just this congestion crap. Maybe they send him home. Maybe they don't want him around getting the other guys because it's pretty in what's the word? Infectious, I guess. Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Contagious, I think is the word.
Contagious. That's the word.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So, he might have it's like, hey, we can't get Curry and the other guys down, feeling crappy. So that's probably
that's why you're there in Arizona, not at the game, is because the Warriors wanted to make sure that you didn't.
Yeah, they don't want me around. For sure. Yeah,
that was the rallying cry. Keep the Coach Emilio cough out of our room. All right, one of the things I heard guys discussed on the radio today that I thought was kind of interesting, they were discussing who what's Lakeup gonna do? It was kind of a little bit of a discussion of if the Warriors lose, right? If the Warriors get bounced by Sacramento, what's Lakeup gonna do going forward? And the question was who's he going to the finish line with? He's going to the finish line with Steph Curry for sure. We know that, but the debate was this: Clay or Draymond? Who is more likely to finish their career as a Warrior? And there was an arguments going back and forth, and I think it was on KMBR, and I think I heard Tolbert say that he thinks that Clay wants full max money in a year, which is $40 million right now, and is going to be maybe $50 million, and that he's really hell bent on getting max money. So I'm saying it's going to be Draymond who goes to the finish line. Maybe carves out a nice little the guy who goes to it's almost as if Draymond and Clay, by what they ask for in this next round of negotiations, can determine if they finish here or finish somewhere else. And if Draymond wants to take, 3 years, $20 million, a year, $60 million, that's been floated, I think he could probably decide. He could probably, basically make it so he finishes as a Warrior, or at least almost finishes as a Warrior. Maybe he plays 1 year somewhere else. But if Clay wants $50 million a year in true max money, are we seeing the end of the Klay Thompson era? What do you guys think? Is Clay not? Will they move off of Clay? Because I consider, I don't know everything about the cap, but I know enough to say that Joe Lacob is not going to pay a $500 million tax bill on some declining team and pay Klay Thompson 50 some odd million dollars a year. I know there's sentimentality, but it ain't worth $50 million a year. So I'm saying Draymond finishes a Warrior maybe, and Clay moves on. Let's go around the room on that. Who wants to go first?
You know what? I'll go first because I do have to jump in a minute. I saw my girlfriend for the first time in a while today. She flew in, so I got to get back to her. I can't.
Wow.
can't leave her hanging. But the Clay thing's interesting because he played pretty damn good down the stretch. He was pretty vintage Clay. Obviously, the defense has declined a little bit, but can you guys help me out? So I know he's extension eligible this offseason.
Correct.
So what
I've read is that he wants the extension after this year.
Yeah,
that's what I've read.
So how many years would that be?
4. It'd be 4 on top of. So he makes over $40 million next year, and then he wants 4 more years on top of that. That's supposedly what he wants. That's a lot.
I don't know. It just seems like Draymond is so much. he seems like a much more likely person to leave. And he's just, the whole clutch thing. I actually wouldn't have been surprised if he ended up on the Suns if KD didn't go there. That seemed like a good spot for him. But there's going to be some either veteran team looking for that. They'll convince themselves they need that last veteran defensive anchor piece. Who knows? Maybe how fun would it be? Well, it wouldn't be fun as a Warriors fan. It'd be kind of annoying. But just for the NBA as a whole, it'd be really fun to see him on the Grizzlies.
Wow.
Like talking all that him and Dylan Brooks. So yeah, no, I just see Draymond going. Unfortunately, I think they'll lock up Clay. I think they'll do it. I really think they will.
Nick Jace's trade Poole for 2 established players. Don't max Clay, and then they'd have $26 million in cap space to retool for the final 2 seasons of Steph. Looks like Nick Jace thought it through a little bit there.
I mean, yeah.
What?
I think a lot of it's so undetermined right now. We got to see how this postseason goes, because one thing Lacob has shown is that he's not going to break this up if they win titles. Like he's expressed repeatedly that he's all about world championships. If they get bounced, if not this round, like next, you could see one, you could see both. I hope Clay like manages his expectations. And goes for like a Wiggins type deal. I think Lacob might buy into something like that, where it's like $25 million a year or something that's below, max dollars, but still a good chunk of change. I love Clay, man. I've called him my spirit brother. I love everything about the man. But I don't want him to ever leave. I don't want to break up the Splash Brothers. But dude, if he wants a max deal, he's not a max player anymore. That's just not who he is. And so if that's what he's expecting, what sucks is that with a player like Clay and a player like Dre, even though we see what's obvious, there are so many teams run by inept, just morons as their GMs, head of personnel. The NBA is just full of nepotism and people in charge for all the wrong reasons. And that's why you see so many of these dumb contracts and decisions. And so someone's going to give it or offer both these players a huge chunk of money. They will get it. So it's all about like how badly Clay wants to stay here. If he's willing to be reasonable in terms of the amount of money he wants per year. If he's asking for 40, 50 mil, it sucks, man. I really hate the idea of him leaving, but I don't, unless the Warriors win a title, totally different story then. But otherwise,
what if they built in like a Joel Embiid-esque, like, minimum number of games played sort of injury contingency? Because if you could guarantee that Clay was healthy, I mean, I think you could probably justify it.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
But if he gets if he gets injured again, then all of a sudden that's the worst, most untradeable contract in the league. So
you're right. Yeah,
speaking of untradeable contracts, is this Jordan Poole contract? Could this be something that if they did want to move Poole in the offseason, teams might be looking around like, it might not be a hot commodity. The Warriors might have to attach a draft pick or something just to unload this Poole deal. Potentially. I haven't called the GMs around the league to gauge the market, but I don't think teams are going to be calling up the Warriors just licking their chops to get Jordan Poole at whatever it is, $30 million a year. But to answer this question, Klay Thompson, I don't think he's going anywhere for the next 3-4 years. I don't see it happening. I can't see him leaving his splash brother. Draymond, on the other hand, I can see it. I can see Draymond going somewhere else, linking up with LeBron. It's like, he wants to be LeBron's best friend so bad. But last thing I want to say about Draymond, even if this series does go south or things go south in the playoffs and, ownership and management's like, I think we had enough of Draymond. Draymond's the type of guy, it's his decision this off season. This is a player option. True. So even if the GM and who ownership is like, I think we had enough of Draymond might say, hey, screw you, I'm opting in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he might. He has said that he wants to be here for sure. Frank, what do you think, Draymond or Clay?
I think if both guys, as you guys have stated, manage their expectations, I think both guys could finish their careers as members of the Golden State Warriors. Klay's not going to get a maximum contract. He's not. And I think if he can stomach around the 25 to 30 million, then I think the Warriors would probably extend him for 2 or 3 years. Max extension, can't see it happening. There's money out there for Draymond Green. So I don't think Draymond is going to opt into his contract. I mean, the Portland Trailblazers would certainly overpay him because they want to be in the playoffs next year. You put Draymond in that lineup with Dame, and he makes them better. There's several teams that Draymond makes better. I don't know if Draymond wants to go to Detroit, but he makes Detroit better. So I mean, there's money out there for Draymond. I think teams will overpay him. I can see both of these guys leaving if the numbers get crazy. But I think if they hover around 30 million, I think Klay will continue to be on the Warriors. And I mean, with Draymond, the money just might be too crazy out there for him. He's going to opt out. I think he's not going to opt in. So
I agree.
I think Draymond is gone. The only way he comes back is if they win the title, because I think Monty Poole wrote something today, and I think the latest situation, it kind of put them in the whole, not the step. I'm not worried about the stepping on Sabonis. It was the aftermath of him inciting the crowd, and you could kind of read the room. They were just kind of like, really? You look at him tonight. I'm not saying that they don't need Draymond. They do. But they just went out and played basketball tonight. There was no complaining. There was no, it's just like, go win this game. And I think here's the thing that's been the Warriors' issue. They've been a dysfunctional team all year long. And, it started, obviously in camp. And the only thing I would say about the Kings, if they had any edge, is basketball is a very team game. And they have been very close-knit group that has played together from camp. They've taken this underdog role. Mike Brown has brought them together. I think the Warriors will somehow pull this off. But if the Kings were to win this, it would be based on the fact that they have been together and united, and the Warriors have been dysfunctional.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. There's a joy about Sacramento, the way they play. The Warriors have been, they've labored. They've labored through this campaign. Rye, welcome back. I know you want a jet to spend some time with your lady. Go have a great night. It was great to see you. We'd love to have you back on the regular. Jump in anytime you want. I'll communicate with you every time we're going live in one of these post games. You're more than welcome to join us. And obviously, bro, I mean, if there's anything we can actually do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. But I know the audience would love to, help you. Hey, you made it through 420. Somebody said in the chat. I think the audience would love to help you and keep track of how you're doing and give you hopefully a pleasant diversion to help you go find a better direction. So obviously. Great to see you. I think we're all really happy to see you. I think everybody in the chat's really happy to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great rest of your night, bro. And if there's anything you want to say, go ahead right here.
Just thanks to everyone for being so supportive. I was pretty nervous, but again, like I said, the only way I kind of know going forward is I'm just trying to be as honest as possible with everybody in my life, so I can be honest to myself, and it's just a whole lot easier kind of getting rid of resentments, all that kind of shit. I just feel much lighter, and, I'm very motivated. I'm taking this super seriously. And as far as I'm concerned, I just became a real adult. So, thanks so much, guys, man. Hell yeah. I'm coming back for the next game for some more Warriors stealing some.
Awesome, Rye. Hey,
Josh says, Rye, it's great to see you back, man. And have a great night, Rye.
Thanks, guys.
Good night, brother.
There you go. The
Later,
great
brother.
Ryan Smith. Danny, where you want to hang or you want to jet?
I'm gonna head out. I've had a long day, getting this stinking congestion, trying to get rid of it, get more sleep.
You got a quick
yeah.
thought on the Giants' loss tonight? They lost. Seriously, you watched it, I'm sure. I was all on this all night.
Actually,
the
I
Mets
didn't even
beat the Giants 9-4.
I didn't even turn it on until like
Oh,
the
okay.
sixth inning. I was like, what do they? I didn't even care. I mean, but it's like they're five. What are they? 6-12, something like that.
They've won some and they've lost more. They're
it's
6-12.
They're not hitting. Their runs again come from the home run tonight. Two solo homers. Lamont Wade leading off, hitting 209. I think again he was 207 last year. I love the guy. He's a great man, but if that's your leadoff hitter, it's going to be a long season.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote down some note for you that I was like, I got to mention that to Dan. Let's see. The Giants. Okay. The Giants have failed. Their starter has failed to go 4 innings already 6 times in the first 18 games. So they got pitching, but they just can't hit. Their starter's not going deep into games. Did they get 4 out of Manaea tonight? No, they got So 7 times in 19 games, the Giants starting pitcher hasn't worked 4.
Oh,
wow.
That's a crusher, man. That's
That's
crusher.
not good.
And I misspoke about Wade. He's not hitting 209. It's 205. So
I will say this, though, Danny. It's go time for the Giants. 16 tonight. They're back with the Mets. 16 of the next 19 for the Giants are at Oracle Park. So if they don't get it going in the next 3 weeks, that won't bode well. But Danny, have a great night, man.
yeah, you guys too.
There you go. The great Dan Cochimilio from Arizona.
yeah.
A couple more thoughts on the Warriors, guys. I mean, what do you guys think with this series? We actually one super chat here from Riddy Musich. He says, Warriors in 7. Good job, Ryan. Bravo. Or no, Brave. He says, Brave. Keep going the deal. It's what we personally got to do. God is great and has your back tenfold. Stoked on the show tonight. So there you go. Thank you, Riddy. And we'll make sure Rye gets that message. But what do you guys think as far as going into Game 4? Is there an adjustment that you think Mike Brown makes? What do you think? I mean, every one of these games is like a chapter to a book, and then it's like the thing changes a little bit. The first couple games, Sacramento kicked the Warriors on their bench, beat up the Warrior bench. Fox had his way. Monk had his way. And tonight it all was all Golden State. Did Golden State just have a nice night? Or did they literally solve some things that the Kings have been doing to them? What do we expect to see in Game 4, which is Sunday? Is that right?
Yeah, Sunday at 12:30, which is ridiculous, but
that's early. That's early.
It's
I want to
nationally
jump one because Larry, what I noticed, fellas, the Warriors, they took care of the basketball tonight.
Yes, turnover
on that one. Only 11 turnovers. Game 2, they had 20 and only 1 turnover in the first quarter. So they got off like the field goal percentage wasn't all that great, but they were grabbing all these offensive rebounds and taking care of the basketball. So they're getting more shots up. So they're going to need more of that in Game 4. I expect the Warriors to even up this series. And I think it's going 7. Larry, I think you're going to get your wish. You want 7? I think
I do. I want 7. Really? You think it's going 7 in Sacramento? So, okay, Frank, what do you think of what Baller just said there? I mean, and what do you expect to see in this next game? Because it's like game to game, it's hard to know. Like, I had no idea that we were going to see Moses Moody play his most meaningful minutes of his career tonight, and that's what we got. So what do you think we're going to see in the next game?
I think 2 things. Mike Brown has been influenced by Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is a very positive guy. The first 2 games, Mike Brown, you can hear him, on the arena network microphones, pushed the ball up the court. Sacramento did not push the ball up the court tonight. They got stuck. They start missing their shots, and they start losing a little bit of their confidence. So I expect them to try to duplicate what the Warriors did tonight. The Warriors really pushed the ball up the court. They had more shot attempts than Sacramento. I think they want to change that. The difference was the ball, when the Warriors pushed the ball up the court, more times than not, it was in Stephen Curry's hands. And he did a good job managing the offense tonight, creating space. So that's one thing. And the other thing is it's really building the confidence of his players, because we talked ad nauseum about the Monks of the world. Monk is a streaky player. He's always been a streaky player throughout his career. So as well as he can play, he can kind of go into the back cave and you never see him again. So Mike Brown is going to be effusive, pumping up the confidence of his players, because aesthetically, as we said before, the Warriors are a better team. Yes. I don't care what the record says.
Agreed.
The Warriors are a better team. So Sacramento has to push the ball up the court, utilize their youth and their physical quickness, and they have to play with confidence. Tonight, they didn't play with a whole lot of confidence. So I see that from Sacramento's perspective. From the Warriors' perspective, don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't, just because you open, that doesn't mean you have to take the shot. Shot distribution for the Warriors would be very, very important. And again, I love how they play defense tonight. If they can duplicate that defensive effort, I think Golden State wins regardless of what Sacramento does.
And just to add on to that, and of course the Kings fan will raise objection to you saying the Warriors are a better team. The Kings were only 4 games better in the regular season. The Warriors are the defending champions. Give me a break if you honestly think the Kings are the better team. But the turnovers are the absolute crucial difference between game 2 and 3, for example. The Warriors turned the ball over 9 less times.
How much of that was Draymond, Cy? How much was Draymond? Because Draymond will throw passes into traffic and lead you. And if you're not committed to, let's say you're cutting through the lane and you're not committed to cutting all the way through the lane, he'll lead you. And I'll see some miscommunication on that 2-3 times a game.
No, you're absolutely right. And Draymond's, and both him and Steph, like they're both just been total turnover machines. In game 2, Dre had 5 turnovers. So it's one of those things where like him and Steph have always been turnover machines. And it's hard to say that Dre's the reason why they lost. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can go there, but the turnovers are huge. And then you look at the minute distribution tonight. You look at, for example, Moody played almost 16 minutes. Kuminga played over 13 minutes. You saw even Anthony Lamb got like 7 minutes, right? So if you could figure out a way to still get those players involved, because what I hated seeing in games 1 and 2 were the Warriors being small, out-muscled. The other, like the Kings just looked like they looked the part of the better team. Like from the eye test, you see these two teams playing in games 1 and 2. The Kings just looked more physically gifted. They look more athletic. They look better. And so the Warriors tonight, by having 3 players in there that you didn't see much of in games 1 and 2, and Kuminga, JaMychal, and Moody, or Kuminga, did I say those 3 right? Those are 3 big, long players, and they made a huge difference. And one thing that was weirdly a weird effect from tonight was Gary Payne II not playing. I love GP2, but he's only 6'3". And I don't like the fact that Kerr plays him like he's a big. It's okay if you do that every once in a while, but he plays him in there as just asks him to handle Trey Lyles, asks him to handle Harrison Barnes. These are guys that are like that outweigh him by 30, 40, 50 pounds. They're like sometimes 7-8 inches taller than him. You didn't see those kinds of mismatches tonight. And what I really hope is that Kerr does not fall back into these diminutive lineups again.
He did start Poole tonight instead of Green. So that was going exceptionally small, and they got off to a good start. But, I mean, I'm sure if we had Kerr on here right now, he would just say, well, I'm going with my best.
Well, and
Poole's my best.
But Poole's not super small. I mean, he's a 6'5" shooting guard. He did grab 2 offensive rebounds tonight. Poole's actually had a great game, except for his 3-point shooting. He was 1 for 7 there, but he also got to the line and had 8 free throw attempts. That's what Poole does that pretty much no one else on the team does. He attacks the rim. He gets to the line. I like Poole tonight. And one really cool thing is when Poole goes back to the bench in game 4, that's where you can see some of the minutes hopefully get redistributed, because Jordan Poole played 27 minutes tonight. He's been averaging about 20 in games 1 and 2, and that's likely what you'll see. He actually only had 15 in game 2. because of his bad ankle. So you'll probably see his minutes go back down to 20. And I just hope, whether it's Klay Thompson losing 5 minutes, because Klay, I did not think had a great night tonight. It was a lot of effort. He was muscling inside. Sometimes he was assigned the task of guarding and battling Sabonis. But Klay hasn't really been playing yet in this series like the future Hall of Famer he is. And if he's not lighting it up, man, I don't know if you take 5 minutes away from him. DiVincenzo had 27 minutes. He was awesome. I don't want to see him lose anything. But, some of these players are going to have to lose minutes here and there. I think Anthony Lamb is going to be the sacrificial lamb, no pun intended. He'll lose his 7 minutes. You're not going to see Lamb again. I just hope they even though he played great, I thought. I just hope they find a way.
If it comes, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, if it comes down to two guys that you're advocating for, Jermichael Green or Moses Moody, who do you play?
I'll say Moody. Just because Moody gives you offense, he can guard the perimeter.
What do you guys think on that? Because I think if you look at the minutes and you think about bringing Green back and bringing Payton back, to me, there's no way he's playing Moody and Jermichael. It's going to be a Moody or Jermichael. And I agree with Cy. I'd rather go with Moody. What do you guys think? Frank Baller?
Yeah, man. I mean, his youth and his maturity on the court when he's around other veteran players is infectious, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, his teammates trust him. They all trust him. I like Jermichael Green's game tonight, but he was a physical enforcer. That's his role on the team. Not necessarily a perimeter player. Moody in the drop coverage offense, that guy goes for your neck.
Uh-huh.
He finishes. And he also assesses whether or not he has a wide open three or a contested three. If he has a contested three, he does a nice ball fake, and he goes to the basket. So the guy deserves to be on the court, and he's not afraid. So put him out there, man. I think he deserves his time.
Brian Iglesias got a good point here. He says, "Oh, go ahead, Baller." No, I asked Frank and Baller, and we only got Frank there.
No, well, I'm agreeing with Cy here. Moody, I want Moody on the floor. He shot the 3-ball tonight. The 3-ball looks good. Jermichael, he's got all that wrist tape on. I feel like he's had a wrist injury for quite some time. I don't know if that's affecting his shot. So
did you see that? Let me start to interrupt you, but before I forget, because it is 4:20 and I'm now partaking. What do you think happened in that fight? Did you see that little? It wasn't a fight, but it was like a little argument between Kenny Atkinson and Jermichael Green. What was going on there? Anyone know?
Wait! I didn't even see that. Where was that? When was that?
I saw it, and he was playing well, getting rebounds, being physical, and they took him out.
So that's what it was?
I mean, that's what I think, because I've been in that situation before.
What did it look like? Were they jawing on the bench to each other?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it was a heated conversation, and I was happy to see that they put him back in the second half, and he played just as well, and he let that stuff go. And I get Jermichael's point of view, because listen, this is a veteran 10-year guy who came to the Warriors with the expectations of winning a championship, and he's just arbitrarily being taken out in what he thinks is the biggest game of his year.
Yep.
He's looking for a contract next year. He's auditioning for money.
You're right. And he passed up going to the Suns too. I think that's where he was going to go before the Warriors stepped in.
Yeah, so I mean, I get how he would be pissed off. I do.
Yeah, and in his mind, it's like, hey man, I've been doing everything I've done all year for this moment in the sun. Right. Do not deny me my moment. Brian Iglesias got an interesting one here, I think. He says one aspect that the Warriors need to take advantage of is putting Fox in the pick and roll action and ISO late him on the post with Wiggins down low. What do you guys think? I mean, I think Brian's a pretty keen observer, to be honest. I think that's spot on, really.
He's writing for a popular publication. I think Warriors Talk.
Is he?
Yeah, man. He's like a full-on.
Hey, Brian, tell us where you're writing for, and we'll promote it for you, bro. Yeah, you got to give us some. You got to give us your breakdown. We'd gladly promote you. But what do you think of what he's saying there?
But I just want to. But just to answer your question, if you guys don't mind,
me
going first. I loved Wiggins' defense on De'Aaron Fox. I saw that assignment, and he was giving Fox trouble, man. Fox was. Fox is. He's an amazing player. He deserves every accolade he gets. But he wasn't killing it tonight like he was in games 1 and 2. I mean, look, 26 points is great. 9 assists, 9 rebounds, great. But he was only 3 for 9 from 3. He was 9 for 22 from the field. Those aren't highly efficient numbers. And a lot of that was Wiggins. And also Fox had 4 turnovers too. That should be noted as well. And those steals came from Clay. Jordan Poole had 3 steals tonight. Steph had 2 steals. DiVincenzo had 4 steals. So the Warriors defense was aggressive. So I loved Wiggins' defense on him. And Wiggins just played lights out, man. I don't think he got he's getting, or maybe he is getting the recognition. I don't know. I missed the first part of the show, but he had a great night, man. I mean, he played 34 minutes, and in those 34 minutes, 20 points, and was shot 50% from both the field and from 3 points. So kudos to Wiggins, man. I love it. Continue.
Well, I mentioned at the start of the show that they mentioned a stat in the first quarter of the game that Wiggins in the first 2 games of the series was 3 of 16 from beyond the arc.
Awful.
So, I mean, and I talked about this with Willard last week on 95.7 The Game. I said, I hope Wiggins early on attacks the rim and doesn't settle for the shot, because I've seen a lot of guys who can shoot the lights out, who they sit out for a while. Your shot doesn't necessarily come back right away. It's a different flow, different rhythm than just getting up some shots in practice. And, tonight he was 50% on his threes. Also he rebounded the basketball much better. DJ Venus says, will JD be joining? He is going to join after 95.7 The Game's post-game show ends. So probably right at the end. But he says he's curious to see what he'll say about Kuminga. What did you guys think of Kuminga? JD made a big deal about how Kuminga was, shouldn't play again in this series. And of course, this was before the Green suspension. So obviously the Green suspension impacts things dramatically as well. But guys, what did you think overall of Kuminga? He played 13 minutes, 6 points, 2 rebounds. He had an assist. He had a steal. He had what could have been one of the most ferocious jams we've seen in the playoffs in recent years. Yeah. And he was +6 on the night. Let's go around on Kuminga. What'd you guys think?
I thought Kuminga was pretty good. It was pretty good out there. And like you said, he almost had that mamma jamma on Alex Len. So, yeah, I thought he played well. I think Kerr's got to keep him in the rotation. We should see him. We should see him again on Sunday. And lastly, I just wanted to touch on Brian's comment on Wiggins in the post. Absolutely. I love Wiggins in the post. I actually think Wiggins is probably the Warriors' best post player offensively. So I love getting him the ball.
A little bit of Livingston to him, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, turn over the shoulder. He's got a little hook shot. He can hit you with a fadeaway. So I love Wiggins in the post.
Nice.
Yeah, with regards to Kuminga, if you look at him through a coach's lens, he generally plays better at home. He does. He plays better at home. So, the Warriors shoot better at home. So I'm not surprised that he played well tonight. I expect him to. I wish Kerr wasn't so rigid, but I understand what he's doing. When they have 2-3 hour film sessions and he sees mistakes happen, assistant coaches' mistakes happen, it bothers the coaches. And I get that. But you got to have a quick memory as a coach. And the fact that he didn't put Kuminga in the second half of game 2, I had a problem with that. I really did. I don't necessarily have a problem with him taking him out when he makes mistakes and coaching him up. But not to put him back in the game, I don't agree with that, because he's not going to get better.
I agree. So agree with you, man. Like I said, I'm a Kuminga fan. I see Kuminga, I see a player that's going to be a future star. I see a player that there's a reason why he was hyped up as one of the top picks and one of the deepest drafts in NBA history. Interesting enough, Frank, like you made me look up his splits between home and road, because I was actually curious about that. Statistically speaking, he's a better player on the road. I guess it depends on the stat. He shoots 55.2% at home, which is awesome. On the road, he still shoots above 50% at 50.4. They're both great. 3-point shooting at home is at 35. On the road, he shoots 38.4%, and he scores 8.9 points per game at home, 11 per game on the road. So he's actually, and he turns the ball over less on the road. It's interesting. Like I love the kid. To me, he is ready. I totally agree with you in the sense that I wouldn't mind giving him a hook if you're coaching him up and preparing him to put him back in. That's fine. But what we see often is he's pulled and you never see him again. And there's no chance in hell that's helping him, man. That's not building confidence. He's not feeling good from that. So I really hope we see more of him. I feel largely like most of anybody who hates on either Kuminga or Moody is mostly doing so because of Kerr. It's like, it's just Kerr says so. So I agree. That's because I don't hear any other logic. At least certainly not objectively, that in terms of criticizing their games, man, they're both fantastic players. And, the only arguments I hear is he has like a deer in the head's like, look, okay, that's your opinion. I never see that. I've heard people criticize Moody saying he can't stay in front of people. He plays horrible defense. I actually looked at so much tape of him, never once saw people blow by him. So, it's like Kerr's not always right. I don't think anyone's always right. He's not infallible. And I think Kuminga should play, man. He's earned it, but that's
I was just going to say, Frank, that I think that Kerr has to kind of relate to these guys, differently, but the same in that he's got to keep giving them, keep putting them on the floor and giving them minutes because they are a big part of, they've got upside. Anthony Lamb, there's no upside there. There's upside with Moody. There's upside with Kuminga. That's one. But when you watch the Warriors every night, you can see the personalities. And to me, he should have pumped Moody full of a lot more confidence because Moody is a respectful guy who's come in and he is overly deferred to his teammates. And this is the NBA, and he's got to stop deferring, and somebody's got to get to him and be like, bro, you're the shit. When you're out there, believe it, and stop deferring. You're as good as any of these guys you're playing with. Believe it and go play like it. Some guys you need to pump full of confidence. Other guys you need to rein them in. I think Kuminga's the opposite. Kuminga's could be wild out there. He needs to be reined in. Jonathan, this is what we want from you solely. Finish, catch the lob, run the floor, defend like crazy, and rebound out of your area. That's what we need from you. We don't need threes. We don't need crazy one-on-one. We just need, simplify for him, but then tell Moody, like, you're the man. And you can, because that's what I see. I see Kuminga, who kind of, not that he's a big ego guy, but he's like, I'm just playing. I'm just going to play. And he needs to rein it in and do what he's best at. Moody needs to not rein it in and start believing that he's a better player than he is. And I think, to me, if he could make those two adjustments with those two young players and get them in the right frame of mind, I think this team can win it all. But it's a huge if. And we're in March, or we're in April, almost May,
yeah,
and he hasn't been able. He hasn't been able to do this yet. And it's like, this is what I see. And I watch this team every night. I listen to the interviews. I'm following the personality types. I think I got a pretty good feel for basketball and what kind of personalities I'm looking at. I really believe if he pumps Moody full of confidence and gives Kuminga, this is exactly what I want from you, I think these guys have an ability to find another level. And then if they do, this team does. And then I think they can win it all. Give me your guys' thoughts on that.
Baller, go ahead.
No, you take the lead on this one, Frank.
I totally agree. As players, you have to be receptive to coaching. And I'll even go back to that conversation that you and I are having about Kuminga. I would want to look at his plus minus on the road versus at home.
I'll look that up right now. Check that out. I'll get back to you in a second. I'm sorry.
Okay. Because like tonight I watched Kuminga tonight. He had a couple of open shots, and he took those open shots. There was no hesitation. There needs to be hesitation. He doesn't always understand the pulse of the game like some of the other players do. And Kerr certainly gets that. Kerr understands the pulse of the game. And I think that's where he kind of gets all the salt with Kerr sometimes, because Kuminga's like, yo, I'm open. I'm the shit. I'm going to shoot the ball. And he doesn't make it. So, those types of nuances about basketball, I think, is where he's going to continue to grow. This guy is a physical freak. He looks like a potential all-star. But the nuance of the game has to happen more for him. And seemingly it's not as hard when he's playing at home when they're playing with a lead. With regards to Moody, man, that guy's a solid pro. Moody's going to be in the league for 10 years. And I would agree. He needs more confidence, more like kind of pushing the kid out there to learn how to ride the bike when he's like, Mom, Dad, I don't quite know. No. Go ride the bike. If you fall down, so what? Go out there. I think Moody's that type of guy. So,
Yeah, and I agree with you fellas, because Moody, he was really good tonight, but I did feel like I wanted him to shoot more. There were a couple times where I thought he kind of turned down a couple shots or played it passively. I want Moody. I like it when he's aggressive, because he's a player that can provide scoring off the bench. And Jonathan Kuminga, I mean, I think this guy's going to be a special player in this league. There's just a few things he needs to fine tune. Like when he's attacking the rim, I want him to protect the ball a little bit better. Sometimes as he's kind of gathering before he's going to dunk it, he can get the ball poked away. Kuminga can kind of tighten up his handle a little bit. There's just a few little small things that when Kuminga tightens up those areas, he's going to be a special player.
It's funny because like all these criticisms of Kuminga feel like, I mean, no disrespect, but they're very subjective, right? Like I see in the chat, I hear, he could tighten things up, but he's a great shooter. He already shoots at over 50%. And I used to have an issue with him shooting the 3-point shot until he started making them so much. Like he shot it over 40% in March. He finished the season shooting 37% from three. That's a good
lot
number.
of those are wide open, though, Si. We have to acknowledge that teams are leaving him. They're leaving him open on the
They're
perimeter.
daring him to shoot.
They're wide open.
But he makes them. So
I agree with you. He's not a bad shooter. He's a good shooter, and that's why I'm really high on him as a prospect. But teams haven't been guarding him out there.
So you're saying his shooting percentage is high because he's wide open?
Oh yeah, it helps when
do you not understand
shots wide open.
But there's a counter argument to that, which is sometimes those wide open shots are actually harder to make because of how much more pressure you have. I mean, the fact that he's hitting them, regardless, I don't know. I need to see a stat because I'm sure there's some.
He shoots from the corners though. When he shoots from the perimeter, he's not quite as good. He's a corner shooter. He's starting to shoot the corner three on both sides. So I see his tendencies. He's not a great shooter from the perimeter foul line extended yet. And he will take those shots. Listen, I think he's going to be a really, really good player.
What do you base that on, though? Just the eye test? Because statistically, he's making them.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the statistic. I just watched the games. And what Baller is saying, pros don't miss open shots, huh? They don't miss open shots. When they get an open shot, they make those shots. They miss contested shots. And I'm just saying that, when Kuminga goes to the basket and attacks the rim, nobody stops him. He's 100%. He's 80%. That's the type of player that he needs to be right now. Next year, he's going to get more and more rope to show his entire repertoire. But right now, he's going to help this team by slashing and dunking the basketball on people's heads.
It is interesting, though, watching shooters. There are a bunch of different shooters that react to different situations. Some guys feel that pressure when they're open, and they don't shoot a good percentage. Other guys just don't shoot it well when there's any kind of crowd around them. But then there's other guys that, man, it's like if you leave them open, like they're so good. It's like there's some great scores that I've seen that literally you could be draped all over them. I mean, heck, Kobe Bryant in the greatest parts of his career, you could be draped all over Kobe, and he was dropping that in your face. And yet there were times when he'd be open, he couldn't do it. Let me ask you about an interesting stat they threw out tonight. And I don't know what the numbers were in today's game. Maybe you guys could tell me. But the Warriors in the first two games were minus 25 in the 18 minutes that Steph was not on the floor.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
And minus 25. I mean, that's just like, it begs you to be like, where's Steph? Get him out there. Play more minutes. Otherwise your guys are going to be done. Do you guys know? I didn't see tonight. Do you? I don't know if anybody's got access to any advanced stats or anything, but do we have any idea how the Warriors played tonight in the non-Steph Curry minutes? Because they just got destroyed in Sacramento on the non-Steph minutes.
What I can tell you is in the first quarter, Steph Curry came out and the Warriors had a 17-12 lead, and Kerr went to what I would call a 4-guard lineup of Poole, Moody, DiVincenzo, Clay, and that was with Looney, and they actually extended the lead, and that was in the first quarter. So the whole game, I didn't track it, but when Steph left in the first, that 4-guard lineup expanded that lead.
That's a great sign, because that was something they, I think that also weighs on you mentally. If you feel like, man, every minute Steph's not on the court, you're just hemorrhaging as a basketball team. That was just good to see that trend turn around. Is there an adjustment that Mike Brown can make to jumpstart the Kings going into the fourth game that you guys see? Because the only thing I saw is I feel like Monk in Sacramento was so much more dangerous and so much more on point on his dribble drives to the bucket. He just seemed like he was attacking more. He seemed more comfortable. Tonight, I don't know if it was the spacing, but he didn't get to the line, didn't finish inside, was kind of a non-factor. Did anybody see why he was a non-factor?
Yeah,
or was it just a bad night?
Well, he had a bad night, but listen, the Warriors' defense was awesome. That's why when they talk about the Warriors being a terrible defensive team, I'm like, no, they're not.
97 points, man. Yeah.
No, they're not. They either put forth effort or they don't. Their rotations tonight were awesome. Now, Monk's a good player. He's streaky, but they put him in a box. He's really only effective driving right. Mm-hmm. And the Warriors were picking him up a lot further from the basket in game one, particularly. How many shots this guy shoot when there was literally 6 feet of just like God green air in front of him? Nobody was there. So the Warriors came out tonight. Their rotations were phenomenal. They also converged him correctly at the rim with their hands up without fouling. And he had a tough time finishing over the Warriors' length. So you know what? It's hard to duplicate these efforts, but the Warriors need to do it because I don't care what anybody says. And I watch these two teams. The Warriors are better. There's only one guy on Sacramento, and I'm not even a Warrior fan. I'm a Warrior supporter. I'm a Knicks fan, all right? The Kings have one All-Star. Well, two, and Sabonis, but, they bottled Sabonis up pretty much. Mm-hmm. They really have.
They have. You're right. You're absolutely right. That's not talked about enough. They have.
Harrison Barnes looked good tonight, man.
He's looked good every game.
He has looked good.
Right. HB.
You know what? He's got a serious look on his face. Like Barnes is like playing for freaking keeps right now.
I felt like he was out playing Draymond. But here's dude. He's an unrestricted free agent after this year. And I have been talking to my inner circle Warriors folks about him. I just randomly brought it up, and apparently that's a name that's been floated a lot in Warriors circles about maybe coming back next year.
He's got a great body for the game, so he'll age well. I think Harrison's going to play a long time because he's a real thoroughbred athlete. He can get up and down, and look at, there's not too many guys like LeBron, like Harrison, that can just pile up mileage and can get up and down the floor, for years. And Harrison Barnes keeps himself in great shape. I think he's right now looks like he's on top of his game. Mm-hmm. The look on his face in this series, it's like, dude, he's as serious as a heart attack. He's a relaxed, casual guy. You know what I mean? But he just looks, the determination on the Senator's face is.
I saw it.
Else.
I don't know about you guys. I saw it a lot more in games 1 and 2. Not so much because he was home, but because for some reason he believes firmly. It's obvious from him not inviting Dre to the wedding, but the way he plays against Draymond, it's like he's got an extra like level that I've never seen before. Draymond brings it out, man. Like he has something against Draymond. Like he blames Draymond for Kevin Durant coming there. It's clear as day.
HB had his chance. The Warriors offered him an extension.
They offered him $62 million, though. They offered him $62 million. The Dallas Mavericks gave him $100 million.
I know what you mean.
You got to get the bag.
Deal, though. They offered him a deal.
They offered him a deal, but I think he made 95 or something with Dallas and then more. It was incredible.
Real quick, Larry.
Go ahead.
Just because you asked this earlier, and I just thought of this now. Like, if I was Mike Brown, if I was the Kings coach, like, what adjustment would I make?
Yeah, what are you trying to do going into game 4?
Keegan Murray has got to go. Keegan Murray has got to go.
Sit him down. He was a huge guy. He shot 41% from 3 for the year.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm seeing the rookie, man. Like he's not dominating anything in this series. He had 6 points tonight. He was 1 for 5 from 3, 2 for 7 from the field. He looks lost out there, dude. Like if I was Mike Brown, he's out. I would say sit down, son.
Who would you put in?
Either Monk or Trey Lyles, man. Trey Lyles, I was surprised, even though Lyles shot horrible tonight and didn't have a good game. I'm so surprised he only played 12 minutes. Like Lyles is normally like a Warriors killer, and but again, these are bench players, right? I mean, this is what happens. This is why I feel like finally like a light hit me in terms of why the Warriors were such a bad road team this year. When I'm watching these Sacramento games, they have a horrible bench, and they just did not manage it right. They were playing the wrong guys most of the year, and like the Warriors bench is why they were 11-30 this year, man. Like bench players do not play good on the road. Role players don't play good on the road, and at home they thrive, man. And it's just that's what's going on. At least that's what I think. I don't know.
No, you're right.
It's hard. We've seen this all year. They haven't been able to win on the road. I mean, Sacramento doesn't have to win any games in Oakland. That's the one thing. Golden State, because of the way this series is slated, has to win one game, and it's either going to be Game 5 or Game 7, or they are not moving on to the next round. One thing that also jumped out, I mean, we've been talking about this game now for almost 2 hours, and we're going to finish up here in the next few minutes.
Yeah, I got to go to bed, man. Yeah.
Yeah, but let me just we really, it's amazing how little we talked about how Steph Curry tonight, when you think about how unbelievably fucking great Curry was tonight. 37 minutes, 50% from the field, 50% from 3, 100% from the line, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block shot, only 1 turnover, 36 points efficiently, plus 24. The one that I think he had a 15-point run in a 6-minute stretch, late third, early fourth. The moment that I just think of when I think of tonight was the one where he had the deep 3 to make it 79-63, and then he cooked Keegan Murray on that. He had him out at the 3, and he's moving him around. Then he gets him, draws him out to the 3, then he ducks underneath, and he goes one-hand floater off glass. And they got the and one to make it, 82-64? I mean, we could talk Curry all night, but this was vintage Steph Curry. No Draymond, team down 0-2. He's the guy, and he played huge.
Hell yeah,
absolutely huge. Guys, give me your best analysis of Curry tonight, because to me, it's like I feel like we're watching Joe Montana in Super Bowl 23. Everybody in the joint knows he's going to rise to the occasion, and he still fucking did it. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're watching with Steph Curry. Everybody knows this is his moment without Draymond, down 0-2, and he steps up with one of the great performances in his career. I thought there were some shots tonight that were incredible. Give me your guys' impressions of Steph's night.
Offensively, my bad, Frank. Offensively,
no, go ahead.
Offensively, Steph Curry was the best player on the court tonight. And in the deep threes, I mean, he's hitting them 6 feet beyond the arc. Steph, he was spectacular. The efficiency was there. It was just a vintage Steph Curry performance. My bad, fellas. These gummies kicked in. I'm all over it. The gummies. The gummies have kicked in. I can't deny it right now.
Oh, that is too
It was
funny.
a sensational performance. It was just fun to watch.
How many gummies? How many gummies?
Just a couple.
Okay.
Just a couple.
Just.
Yeah.
I like what someone wrote in the chat, by the way, because it stirs up an interesting thought. Green Glass Full wrote that the Warriors are much better sans Draymond. I don't agree with that, but
That's not true.
No, it's not true at all. But it does make me wonder, like, if when Draymond's at home watching this, because he had to watch it at home, right? He wasn't allowed in the arena, which is crazy. Do you think he's watching the Warriors succeed without him? Does that humble him a little bit? Like, I don't think that hurts so much. Like, I like humble Dre more than arrogant Dre, if that makes sense. I don't know. What do you guys think? Sorry to steal anybody's time either.
No, not at all. How could you not be? That your team just played the best game they've played in the series, and you weren't there.
Yeah.
It's a bottom line world sometimes.
Yep.
And you know what? We could sugarcoat it and say this and that, and that I think Draymond's genius. I think he's Hall of Fame. I think they'd have 0 fucking rings without Draymond Green.
Agreed.
0. That's that's how strongly I feel about Draymond Green's impact. But this one has to be humbling. This one has to. It doesn't hurt because you're rooting for your team to win.
Right.
It's equal parts gratifying and like, that kind of sucked. They really didn't need me. It's an ego. It's a shot to your ego. It's all one together. It's a shot to your ego. It's a kick in the ass to motivate you, and it's also inspiring because it's like, dude, the young guys that you've been counseling and talking to and bringing along. Guess what? They had to step up in the moment because you weren't there, and they did. So in a lot of ways, it's probably gratifying. It's probably, it's probably ego. It's a shot to his ego. It's a motivator. I think it's going to put him in a perfect frame of mind going into Game 4.
Love it.
I think it makes him a little more coachable in Game 4, which is great for Kerr, and I think it's great for Draymond also because Draymond thinks that he has to almost be bombastic, to play up to his highest level. And he really doesn't. I mean, he's so smart. He's so fundamentally sound. He could temper it down and still be as effective. I want to talk about Steph for a second and just go back. Jason Bourne is one of my favorite movie characters of all time. And I remember in one movie, I think it was the second one, the woman, I can't think of her name either, but
the girlfriend?
Well, not the girlfriend, but the CIA chick that he kind of hooked up with. Save the Last Dance girl.
Gotcha.
Right? So like they're talking about Jason Bourne, and she goes, no, he doesn't make mistakes. No, he doesn't make any mistakes.
Great scene, man.
Right.
Great scene. Yeah.
So like Steph, right? What's impressive to me, Steph gets bored. So he'll throw the most horrible passes. Tonight he had 1 turnover and 6 assists, but he had 3 times the amount of touch time tonight than he usually has. The ball was in his hands a lot, and he was the facilitator tonight, I think based off a conversation that he and Kerr had that said, you can't lose this game. Lastly, he can play better.
Yeah.
There's a 40, 50 piece in his bag that he hasn't even taken out yet. So
Agreed.
If I'm sacked, I'm scared because this guy going to let it go on Sunday afternoon, 3:30 East Coast time. You kidding me? So,
hey, there's one last comment in the chat that I think is pretty good here. What do you guys think of the non-ejection for Joel Embiid tonight? Did you watch Sixers Nets? Sixers beat the Nets in Brooklyn at the Barclays, 102-97, and Embiid blocked a potential tying bucket with like 8.8 left, and the Sixers got the win. But I guess Embiid went to the locker room for treatment. He checked out in the first quarter, was limping multiple times throughout the game. I didn't watch this game. Are you guys familiar with this?
Yeah, I saw the play. I mean, it looked like it.
What was the play? Can you describe it for us?
What triggered the whole thing was it was a walkover. It was a walkover. You just can't walk over people. And who was the other player? Was it Claxton? who walked over
Claxton.
Embiid. Yeah, so he walked over him, and Embiid just was not having it, just like no one will have it. I mean, it's like the utter sign of disrespect in basketball is walking over another player. I think it's a commonly known thing, and Claxton just did it nonchalantly, and halfway through the step over, Embiid was like, "What the hell is this?" and just flung his leg up. I don't know if like the kick to the groin was intentional, but he flung that leg with full force, man, and it hit him pretty hard in the
should he been ejected? I mean, this move cost the Warriors a freaking title. They allowed LeBron James to step over Draymond Green. Green had a reciprocal response. It was very controlled compared to what you would happen, what that would, what kind of violence would come out if you were playing on the street yard. I mean, he was very reserved, and yet he got suspended, but Embiid didn't get kicked out. I mean, to me, it sounds like two different standards.
It's hypocrisy. It is.
I just watched it right now for the first time. I pulled it up, and yeah, Claxton's walking over him. Embiid kicks him. How did he not get ejected?
Yeah, there's clearly a bias against Draymond Green. It's like I don't have any doubt of it. There's a very clear bias. I don't know if they just look at him like he's some sort of troublemaker. I don't know, man. But it sucks. It absolutely sucks.
To me, we'll finish on this thought.
You see that chat, by the way, Larry? Sorry to interrupt you with Al Felipe. Steph saw John Candy in the crowd tonight. I don't know if you
Joe Montana
that reference. Yeah,
that's a Joe Montana reference. I was looking at this one saying, Larry, please chill on the Green Homer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Draymond fan, man. I'm a Draymond fan, and I believe in Green.
Yeah,
so,
he's a legend. He's a legend.
Man,
he's
come on, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Now I forgot what I was going to say. But,
you had a point. I'm sorry, man. The John Candy thing was too much. It's such a great story. For people
I had a point. That's what happens. and I didn't have a gummy. Damn it.
But a lot of people don't know the John Candy story. Do you want to tell it, Larry? Like it's
John Candy. I mean, you guys know it, right? You know the reference.
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay. So Super Bowl 23, they the Bengals score to go up 4. Or to go up 3, I should say.
Yeah,
and the 49ers get the ball with 3:20 left. And there's long TV timeouts in the Super Bowl. Well, there's a long TV timeout. And the story got told by Harris Barton, the 49ers' old offensive tackle. And he said he's nervous as hell because Harris Barton was a young player at that time. And he's trying to paint the picture of how calm, cool, and collected Joe Montana was. And he said during the timeout, Montana looks at him, and he said he looked totally nervous. That Barton said, I was totally nervous. Joe probably knew it. And he said, hey, H. He called Harris Barton. He goes, hey, look, that's John Candy standing in the back of the end zone. Yeah. And Harris Barton looked. He's like, yeah, that is John Candy. And then Harris Barton said, man, at that point, I'm like, this guy's so cool, so calm. He's picking out guys in the crowd, and we got the biggest game of our life, the biggest moment. He's like, I just calmed down. And it's like, hey, if Joe's that calm, I should be calm. Great moment there. Great moment. Steph Curry was incredible. We welcome in John Dickinson, who's joining us late here.
Baby.
Before it's midnight, and I don't want to take Baller's time. Baller, if you got to get up, or Frank, or anybody who's been with us who's got to jump. Baller, you want to jump? I know you had a couple gummies.
A couple gummies. Hey, I love being here. Thanks for having me on, Larry. JD, love listening to you on 95.7. So you keep working. Cy, thanks for coming on my show. Hey, those watching Bay Area Baller 18, I've been putting out a lot of Niners content, some Warriors content. I just had Cy on. Actually, the news broke of Draymond's suspension during our live show with Cy. We had breaking news. So there's
Ashley Keating coming in the feed, like letting us know Draymond suspended, and we're like, wait, what? And then we did. It's crazy, man.
It was
so Paul. Once again, everybody in the chat, we got over 320 people hanging out right now. And it's after midnight. If you're in the chat right now, go to Bay Area Baller 18, sign up for Baller's show, like and subscribe over there, and then bring it on back. But let's support Baller. Baller's got a great channel. He's growing it. It's getting bigger. How many subscribers right now, Baller?
Hey, we're over 1,000. I want to say like 1,300.
Awesome for you, man.
Impressive.
Seriously, everybody in the chat, go. Baller's one of our best friends on this thing. He's phenomenal. Go check out his channel. Go hit like. Go hit subscribe, and do it for the Krug Show and do it for Baller. Baller, have a great night, bro. We'll talk to you.
You too. And Frank, love talking ball with you too, Frank. You have a good rest of your night, fellas.
Peace out, brother.
There you go. Baller.
JD was what blew up today, by the way, with your PTO rant. I loved it, man.
Baller with the gummy. What happened? What happened? Tell me. JD, who'd you go off on?
Yeah, I went off on Adam Silver yesterday, and it kind of made the rounds over the last 24 hours for factoring in the decision to suspend Draymond Green, the stuff with the crowd in Sacramento and the fact that he was in the building, which to me was a joke. We talked about the step
to go to his priors.
Yeah, that's even
when he's already these are issues that have already been adjudicated. I mean, you're going back in time to go back to stuff from why do we, Bill Belichick? Why do we got to talk about old stuff? Why are we going back? I mean, seriously, I thought that was very bizarre.
It was bizarre. I had more of a problem with the fact that you've got 18,000 people basically giving him the middle finger, but he can't scream at him and smile when he's put up on the jumbotron. Like, I thought that, like, to me, nothing that happened in that particular sequence, that all should have been a wash, because it's not like he went into the crowd and tried to punch somebody or tried to physically accost somebody or anything like that. So for that to be, or the notion that, hey, the commissioner was in the house, and so you have to carry yourself in a different manner. I mean, look, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And we can have the debate, as we all did for the last few days, as to whether the actual act of stepping on Sabonis's chest was worthy of a game. We can have that discussion, but the whole notion that the stuff with the crowd, like, to me, it's, and the rant for me was more just Adam Silver has this, non-competitive regular season, and then he gets upset when the crowd and the players are mixing it up to a point where it's creating this emotional event and response, which to me is great for the game of basketball. Like having games,
as long as it doesn't become the malice in the palace.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
And it was nowhere near. I mean, from being in the building, it was nowhere near like going to become physical at any point. Like, everybody was in control from that standpoint. And look, the Kings fans were letting him have it, and he was letting them have it. And I thought it was edgy, but it was good-natured edgy. It was all about ball. It was all about, hey, we got in your head. No, you're not getting in my head. The back and forth. Like, I think things like that on the stage that was those first two games in Sacramento, with, them being both really terrific basketball games in their own way, I think that's good for the game. And I feel like Adam Silver spits in the face of that type of basketball, highly competitive, night in, night out basketball, which is what the league was built on, going back to the 80s and the 90s and even the 2000s, where maybe it got a little carried away in terms of ugly style of play and defense and the like. Now you don't have any of that. Now the regular season is, let's all play pickup in the gym, at the local high school, and see who can get to 130 first. And if you need to take a couple nights off, take a couple nights off. And that's cool. And I think he's created this culture in the league where it's almost cool, or you get cred for being one of the dudes that doesn't want to play or have to play every single night. And I think that's just completely against everything we saw in Sacramento. So that's where the rant stemmed from. And I'll leave it at that.
I will say this. I will say that
it was
fun. JD's very passionate. I will say this: you cannot have both dynamic pricing and load management. You can't. Dynamic pricing and load management do not jive. You can't charge people more for Steph and the Warriors and then say, "Hey, Steph, sit it out. Oh, you're a great guy." No, you can't. It doesn't. Those two things don't work. You got to figure out some solution. But I also don't like. There's already a perception that the league is puppeteering their officials and that it's all kind of I don't want to say that the people don't think it's on the level, because that's not true. We all think it's on the level. It's not that. But we do kind of think that there's often open dialogue among NBA commentators about when the league would like to have the Warriors in the next round, and the league would like to have this as a finals, and that kind of thing, where you never hear that basically in football. I mean, we maybe a little bit on talk shows, but hardly ever. And we're talking about network people that will actually literally bring up these topics on network television. And so the league has a little bit of a perception issue. And instead of pushing back on that, they get heavy-handed taking people off the floor. When was the last NFL player that got taken out of the NFC Championship game? What's the last superstar player that you can think of who didn't play the Super Bowl because the commissioner took him off for something he did? It's like, no. Take money out of their pockets later. Suspend them for week 1 next year. This is your marquee freaking event. Even just the idea of taking anybody off the court is just awful. And I heard Dumars today, and I heard his quote, and he's like, yeah, well, Pryor's factored in. Why should it have? You penalized Draymond in the past for the past. So now you get penalized in the present and the past? I mean, these are not crimes. These are not actual crimes. We need to figure this out. This isn't a burglary. It's like, yeah, burglary, and you do it over and over and over again. You should have to own. Those are crimes. This is sports.
Yeah.
And to me, I hated them taking him off the floor. To inject yourself in that into the series is so wrong, and it makes people doubt the league and the competition. That's not good.
Agreed. Yeah, and it's important to know that I feel like, even though I don't know if we'll ever know this, but it seems like this was an Adam Silver decision largely, because I didn't know this initially, and then I read up on this that Draymond, like Joe Dumars, was almost like a godfather type figure to Draymond growing up. I mean, Draymond met Ben Wallace through Joe Dumars, and Ben Wallace was one of Draymond's favorite players. He had the haircut because of him. He played AAU basketball with Dumars' son, who's one of his best friends, if not maybe he's the best friend of his life. So I don't know. Something tells me that this was an Adam Silver call, man, being at that game. I mean, but JD, you were there, so I don't know. Like I heard from people there that it was as crazy as it seemed, if not worse. I mean, but you're saying maybe it's different. I don't know, but
it was crazy. It was intense. But it was great theater, and I never at any point thought it was going to boil over to where Draymond was going into the stands or a fan was going to be in a physical altercation with him. I thought it was just an emotional environment, which helped make that game what it was in a lot of ways, and what has made this series, I think, what it has been now for 3 games. The Warrior fans got their shot tonight, and by the way, there weren't a lot of Kings fans at Chase. Everybody thought there was gonna be.
Yeah, and there wasn't.
There really wasn't. There was maybe a few more at Chase than there were at Golden One in Sacramento. But the Warrior fans that were there and the Warriors themselves put them to bed real quick. I mean, they weren't going to be shouting much, not having a lead the entire night with the way that the game played out. But yeah, there was a lot of fishy stuff too. Just not to get lost in the weeds on the Draymond stuff, but it was the fishy timing between the league or the leak to, hey, nothing's going to happen from Shams Charania,
right?
And then all of a sudden 8:30, 8:45, oh, now he's suspended a game. The Sabonis component to this, where I'm pretty sure and have heard from a few people, the Kings were livid and trying to sell the concept that Sabonis was not potentially going to play in tonight's game, and trying to put that out there, the prospect of that out there to further the punishment for Draymond. And when they knew,
you mean the Warriors were livid?
The Warriors, well, the Kings were livid and pushed the league. The Warriors were livid at the decision for sure.
Right.
That I know for a fact. They were livid at that it ended up what it ended up, but the Kings were trying to put pressure on the league to say, hey, Sabonis may miss the game because they came out with an injury report that listed him as questionable. And so there was some fish, and that got released an hour after the suspension. So clearly,
and they leaked that information, JD, to Adrian Wojnarowski about the X-ray, which is, they don't even take X-rays for that. It's crazy, man. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
No, you're good. And there was something fishy about it. Was clearly coordinated, the timing of the league making the announcement, and then the Kings come out with the injury report to try and make it look like the injury report came out after the announcement, when clearly they were in cahoots, or at least in communication as to all of that. And so there were a lot of little fishy things about it that didn't add up, but it's done now. The Warriors lost on Monday night. They won tonight, and now we move forward to Sunday, and Draymond's going to be back in the house. So I guess in a way it ends up, it was a long way of getting there, but it ends up kind of where we thought it would have been anyway. And now we've got a series on our hands.
Gentlemen, I'm going to take off. Well, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Red, you've been with us all night here. If you want a jet, I totally get it. It's 12:15. I'm going to go 15 more minutes and get JD's couple quick thoughts from JD on this. But Red, great stuff tonight, and we always appreciate your time, man.
Take care, gentlemen.
See you, Frank.
Peace
there
out.
You go. The great Frank Red. JD,
Way, can I bring
I'm
something
glad
up
that
real
you're
quick
still.
that
Yeah, go ahead.
I never thought about until I was with Rick Barry, and he said this, and I was like, wait, I just never thought about the fact that King, like the whole premise of the Sacramento Kings came from the Golden State Warriors. Like, the Warriors were so popular in Sacramento that the Kansas City Kings looked at the Sacramento market, a market that no one else has really contemplated seriously to bring a professional team to, at least not to the best of my memory. And because there were so many hardcore Warriors fans there, they're like, we want to go there. They like basketball. So, and they moved there, what, in like 85? I mean,
yeah.
They played at the old. They played at the old Arco Arena, which I never was in. You probably were, right, JD?
I did. I went to a game there.
You went to the old Arco, not Arco. Not the new Arco. There was the original Arco.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, there was a temporary building when they moved from.
It's like a gigantic high school. Yeah, right.
And they actually turned it into an office building. It was that small. It was 10,333 was all it sat, and it was a temporary building until they could get the Arco that just got demolished opened, I think, in '88. And lived all the way till 2016 when they moved to Golden One. But yeah, that I never went to a game at the first one. But I did go to Disney on Ice. I do remember going to Disney on Ice in like 1986 at the 10,000 seat.
The old Arco.
5 years old.
Wow.
I didn't realize they leveled Arco. They leveled the one out in the
leveled
Thomas
it just within the last few months.
It was wasn't it like a urgent care or something like that for a while? Or
yeah, it was
Sleep Train owned it, right? It was Sleep Train.
It was a COVID hospital as well during the early stages of the pandemic. And yeah, they actually around this time last year, they let people that wanted to go through it and basically take anything that was left. And
I worked there the first year it was open. It was a sparkling new, really nice arena. JD, we've been going for 2 hours and 17 minutes, so we've said probably most of the things we want to say about this game. But you have been going on 95.7 doing post game. So give us an idea of the fans' thoughts on this one, and also give us your thoughts as far as how did Golden State go from that much momentum, no GP2, no Draymond Green, and yet they got a win. They went wire to wire. It was never really in doubt, and it was the most convincing win yet of the 3 games in the series, which is shocking when you really consider no Peyton, no Green. In your mind, how did they do it? What was the key to the turnaround, and what kind of reaction did it get on the radio?
Well, they cleaned up, first of all, the 3 things really that have wrecked them in the first 2 games of the series. They didn't turn the ball over tonight. I mean, right off the shoot, 12 turnovers. And that started with Curry, just controlling the game, 1 turnover. They were able to get into their offense a little bit more quickly and efficiently. They controlled the glass, which was Kavan Looney. I mean, just what a monster game from Looney. And he stood up against Sabonis, and he did to the Kings tonight what the Kings had done to them in the first two games with the extra possessions and just the deflating offensive rebound plays to prevent them from getting momentum. And then I thought the Warriors did take some bad shots tonight, but they played slower and looked faster, which I thought was interesting. Like, they looked more athletic tonight. And sure, some of that was younger players maybe played a few more minutes. I do think that's part of it. But the guys,
and Jamal, right? And Jermichael Green too.
Yeah,
right?
the guys who played the bulk of the minutes looked like they were playing more under control, but they looked like a more athletic team than they have been. And it was also a kitchen sink game. And sometimes, because you kind of know everybody's going to get a shot, which isn't the norm when you're full strength, it's a little easier for players to step in and make an impact. And so, yeah, I mean, Steph, I thought, and Wiggins and Looney were the three just studs in their own ways that are obvious. I thought DiVincenzo was terrific for not shooting it well. The assists, the rebounds, he had 4 steals. Like, he played just an incredible floor game. Moses Moody, we talked about Monday when he started getting when he got Kuminga's run in the second half and played well. And, we disagreed on Kuminga, and that's fine. But the one thing we all agreed on was
I don't know if we really disagree. No, I'm just kidding.
Moody was going to play tonight. Like, that was one, like, he was absolutely going to play regardless of whether Peyton was going to play or Draymond. Like, both those guys could have played. Moody was still going to play tonight. And Moody played well again. So now Moody's definitely going to play on Sunday. He looks like a little bit of Sacramento Kings kryptonite. He just looks very comfortable in the space that they're giving him. And he's making shots that he hasn't made all year. Like, there was a little bit of the revisionist history thing, which does drive me bonkers in the sense that it's hey, Moody played well tonight, so he should have been playing all year kind of a thing. Well, he didn't play like he did tonight or on Monday when he got opportunities.
It's a process.
To play.
It's a process.
And so, one thing doesn't have to equate to the other, but he played well when he got the opportunity, and he got more opportunities. Cy may disagree on that, and that's fine. That's fair.
Well, my only response to that would be, if he had been playing a lot more earlier this season, imagine how good he'd be now. I didn't see the benefit of sitting him as much. He got DNP'd, I think, 19 times of the season. That was crazy to me. But yeah,
I think it's a personality thing, JD. I really believe that that Kerr needs to pump up Moody full of confidence, because he's so respectful as a person that he's going to defer all the time. He's too much of a
pro. He's too much of a pro.
He's too much of a get along. Some guys, go along to get along. He's kind of like that personality, and he needs to be told, man, you're the shit. You just got to keep doing it. And then Kuminga, on the other hand, I think his game can be vast, and I think what he does more efficiently are little things, like certain things. So if I were Kerr, I would say to Kuminga, hey, look, we need you to defend, rebound, run the floor, not hoist threes, not, take guys one-on-one off the
they have.
Whatever you feel like he does well, that's what I think he ought to focus on. By the way, the Dante DiVincenzo, you were talking about him before. When I watch him, like, we all have that friend who's like, they take a class, and like 3 weeks into a class, they can totally imitate the teacher, or like they're on a team and they can totally imitate the coach, like, immediately. I think Dante DiVincenzo's probably got that, because he is literally adopting Steph Curry's game. There's things that Curry does that DiVincenzo didn't do at the beginning of the year that he now does. How about the little one-handed floater off glass? I mean, that's such a Curry move, and yet DiVincenzo did that, and he looked like he's been doing it for years. I just think there's some genius to DiVincenzo, and he's moldable. I mean, it's like he's really a pretty unique, special player.
You got to stop, because he's going to be gone, and we're going to miss him.
I know, but he is a pretty special player, though. I didn't realize. I saw him at Villanova.
In this series, Cy, and that's important.
So, is there no way? Do you guys view there being no way for DiVincenzo to be back, or does it have to involve Poole being traded and the whole salary structure being flipped.
No, it to me, it's just they can't make him an offer that they're incapable of making him an offer that would be as much as he can get elsewhere. The max that they could offer him is going to be like 6.5-ish a year.
It's not the mid-level. It's below the mid-level,
right?
It's the mid-level, yeah, which is going up. But
so
there's
maybe more, maybe 8 or 9.
But there's also so it's around 3 years and 19 to 20 is the max that they can offer him in a deal using their mid-level. I think he gets more than that elsewhere. But the other part of it is, and probably pretty easily, the other part is with the new collective bargaining agreement, and we don't know this yet, although it sounds like it's not going to go into play next year, the Warriors would be unable to use their mid-level. They're going to take the mid-level exception away from teams that are over the double tax threshold that the Warriors are. And so that's something that's probably going to get grandfathered in, maybe not next year, but if it did start next year, they wouldn't even have a mid-level to use on anybody. And so that slot wouldn't be available not only for him, but any other player to try to replace him with, as they did this year in offering him the deal that he ultimately signed with the player option. So they're stuck, unfortunately, and they could trade Jordan Poole or anybody else, and they still wouldn't have the ability to pay him more unless they, gutted the whole roster to get under the salary cap. Which, I mean, they'd have to trade Poole and Draymond and Wiggins to be under
this new CBA is such a joke. It's incredible how many owners are anti-Warriors, and I'm gonna laugh. I am. There's gonna come a point where one of these mid-market teams, and it's already happened before, the Oklahoma City Thunder couldn't keep Durant, Westbrook, and Harden.
Look at the Kings. The Kings may wind up. I mean,
there's gonna be a small market team that at some point is gonna be in this situation where they draft well, and all their players are coming up for big deals at once, and they're gonna have to lose players they draft because they can't afford them because the luxury tax is gonna penalize them the same way it's penalizing the Warriors now. It's an absolute joke, man. I like drafted players should count for like 75% against the cap. Like that's how it should be. But yeah, it's just this is an anti-Warriors bias, man. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how far they're going.
I don't know if it's anti-Warriors. I think it's a competitive balance deal, and they look at it as the Warriors have found the loopholes, and they're trying to plug up all the loopholes.
More brilliant Adam Silver wanting a mediocre league on a nightly basis, which is just, I mean, it gets back to the whole rant that I went on about Adam Silver. Like he wants everybody to be 44 and 38, and that's not good for anybody.
No.
And non-competitive until the last 2 weeks of the season. And, everybody raving about the first 3 games of this series, or the first 2 games, let's say, of this series. Tonight wasn't really aesthetically from a national standpoint because the Warriors blew them out. But, everybody, the play-in games are awesome. Well, the play-in games are awesome, but the 6 months leading up to the play-in games are terrible, like for the most part, because guys are either taking PTO, or injured, or are, teams are just playing them like open gyms. So, and when you lower the bar and you tell teams you don't have to be as good to be a playoff team, well, then the culture of the league is already to do barely as much as you can to get the best spot you can, work a little to get a lot, that whole kind of thing. When that's the mentality, and then you make it easier to make the playoffs with more slots, then you end up in what you had this year, where the seeding is all upside down basically until the last day of the season.
One thing, and you two guys are two of the more knowledgeable NBA guys, but I doing those shows all those years with Tommy T, he hated the whole concept of the in-season tournament and that whole thing. And I agreed. I just think it's gimmicky and garbage. But one thing the NBA does have that they've cultivated, which is really impressive to me, is Vegas and the whole summer league thing. It's a phenomena. People love going there. They love going to Vegas, period. But they love going to Vegas to see summer league at that time of the summer. They're on summer break. The players are cool. Everybody's relaxed. It's an awesome thing.
It's a spring training vibe. It really is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's fresh, and people like it, and people want to go. And what if I was the NBA? I would scrap that whole in-season tournament thing and just try to come up with some kind of entertaining tournament that is a little bit more attended, a little bit more prime time than the Summer League, involving teams, Summer League guys. If you want to have a Summer League All-Star game or a summer, whatever, but involve young players. You want to grow the Summer League to let guys who didn't get any run in the regular season who maybe want to play, whatever, and come up with something around that while people are already in Vegas, and then you can kind of just throw this little made-up event in the middle of the off-season. Don't interrupt the season with a tournament. I think it's just junk. I think it's a junk idea. But the other question I got to throw to you guys, because you guys are two of the more knowledgeable guys. We'll finish with this. And I realize there's people who are like, Krug, come on, talk about the off-season in the off-season. But I saw somebody call up, I think it was 95.7 today, and ask, or maybe it was yesterday, and ask about the future of Jordan Poole. And would the Warriors be better off in the offseason turning Jordan Poole into like a couple of really strategic, bench players, role players more, instead of paying $35 million for him, really try to trade him for 2 or 3 role players and go that direction. What do you think of the concept? What do you think their options are if they didn't want to stay with Jordan Poole? Or is it like, no, Poole is absolutely here. He's not going anywhere. Who cares if he's overpaid? How do you guys view Poole and like the future? Would you rather have him, or would you rather at least look at what you could potentially get for him? And as this team ages out, and maybe, you know what I mean? They have different needs, maybe more roster spots. How do you think they'll utilize Poole?
Let's see how it ends. I think is probably the
this
best
series or this run
this season. This series could be this series if they lose, or this season if they make a run or lose in the next couple of rounds, if they can.
So you could see a scenario where he's moved?
Yes,
really?
I could. And, do it at your own peril, I think, in a sense, because he has been a player that, if Steph Curry's going to miss 26 games, you need somebody who can step in and just he's kind of an innings absorber, like, to use a starting pitcher, analogy. He's the kind of guy that, there's a reason the Warriors were 2 games over 500 when Curry didn't play. And, Poole took a lot of heat for not having a great year, and he didn't have a great year, but he was good enough in a lot of those games to help the Warriors be close enough to where they could win without Steph Curry, which is something they hadn't been able to do. And if Curry's going to miss 26 games and you don't have a player capable of filling that void, then you're not going to be 44 and 38 at the end of the deal. And you're going to be out on the outside looking in or in the play-in tournament. So I think it's a real complex decision. But at the same time, if you feel like you don't have enough depth or playable depth because you don't trust some of the other younger players to come along and be a part of it next year at a greater level than they've been this year, then you got to figure out a means. Like, if you're not going to for sure play Kuminga a lot next year or Moody a lot next year, well, then you have to find other players that are going to play ahead of them. Mm-hmm. And the only way you can do that is probably by playing Jordan, or by trading Jordan Poole and using him as an asset, and also somebody that has a big salary to be able to fill those spots on the roster. I'm going to have to run, guys. Just
no sweat, man. When are you on tomorrow? Promote when you're on.
I'm going to be on with Steiny and Guru tomorrow. It's time to be determined. It's probably going to be 1:00, and we've been doing a half hour basically after every single game, and then 10-1 with Warriors this week. Which is our weekly show, and then back at 11 for Warriors Live I'm going to be at Harmonic Brewing out in Thrive City.
Nice.
Is it what day is it? Are you talking about tomorrow?
Sunday.
Or are you talking about Sunday?
That's Sunday. I gave you 3 quick hitters. Sunday.
Okay, so tomorrow with Guru and
tomorrow
Steiny.
With Steiny and Guru, yeah, and then Saturday is the 10-1 show. That's going to be in studio, and then Sunday for the pre and post game, we're doing it from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City, which is going to be a lot of fun for the 12:30 tip-off for that game 4 and the ABC telecast and all that. So stop by and see me at Harmonic Brewing and have a beer before the game.
Dude, sounds great.
Should be a beautiful day. One quick thing I did want to get in, and I do got to run. I was telling you, I'm carpooling with some people to get back to the East Bay, so I don't want to keep them. I loved what Steve Kerr did with pulling Curry out middle of the quarter and matching his minutes with De'Aaron Fox. I'm sure you guys touched on it, but it was the first time Kerr made Mike Brown have to think a little bit and won the coaching battle. I loved it, and here's why. It got Curry, and Curry looked like he hated it, by the way, on the bench.
He did. I saw that too, yeah.
Pissed. But here's the deal. It got him away from Mitchell, who was going to be coming in the game to hound him for 4 to 6 minutes.
Who's one of the best on-ball defenders in the league.
And the Kings have made up ground in this series in the minutes where, even though they don't guard each other, or Curry doesn't guard Fox, when Fox has been on the floor, his normal rotation is a mismatch with Curry's. So the Kings in the first 2 games are getting these stretches of late first quarter, early second quarter, late third quarter, early fourth quarter, where Fox is in the game without Curry in the game, and Fox takes over the game, and the Warriors don't have an answer on the other end to go back and score and offset that run when Fox goes into takeover mode. So he basically, it was kind of the NBA equivalent in some way, it's not exact, of a corner following a receiver around. Again, even though they're not going head to head, but you're making sure that, hey, if Fox is going to get off, then Curry's going to get off the other way. And you're not going to create these 6 to 8 point advantages in these 3 or 4 minute stretches, which have helped the Kings keep the games close in 1 and 2 to where the final 5 minutes, they've been able to do what they've done all year, which is dominate in the clutch. And so did
Kerr say in the postgame that he made that adjustment strictly to follow Fox?
I didn't get a chance to hear because I was on the air. I was a little late joining the I usually am able to watch it via stream, and I didn't get a chance to hear, so I'm not sure if it was addressed. I'm going to go back and listen to it, but I'm 90% sure that's what it was. And
because I touched on that on Locked On Warriors, but I just saw it more as an adjustment to where Steph could play more at the end of games, like larger stretches, and not have these holes.
That's part of it too. That's definitely part of it. But it was,
I agree 100%. It was for the first time in the series, we saw a move. We saw a chest move back. Like it was a great adjustment. Wholeheartedly agree with you. I'm glad you pointed that out.
JD, great stuff, man. Thanks for going overtime with us. Safe travels. Peace, brother. We'll talk to you.
You too, man.
Great, JD.
But just to answer your question, dude, about Poole, like JD's right in the sense that I don't think anyone has an answer for that yet. A lot will change if the Warriors lose, let's say, this series or even next series. I think you're going to see some major changes. I don't agree with the premise that you're not going to see Kuminga and Moody play next year. Unless they trade those 2 players, they're not going to rot in year 3 like they did in years 1 and 2. Like I don't see that happening at all. There could be so much change after the season. It's crazy. It all depends on where the Warriors go, but if your chat is full of such pricks sometimes, it's okay though. I read it and I just absolutely dismiss it, but you're assholes. But the Poole thing,
I didn't mean to cut JD off. I just, I thought he had said his last word and I was moving on.
But the Poole thing, I mean, like he still does a lot. He's only 23. Like we have not seen the ceiling yet for Jordan Poole, man. He went to the free throw line 4 times tonight, had 8 free throw attempts, led the team. He grabbed a couple of those huge offensive rebounds. He's streaky as as a shooter. Like that part sucks, but he still averaged over 20 points a game. Like you're not a schlub doing that. Like you are not a hack in this game if you're putting up 20 plus points a game, especially as a 23-year-old. So I think the Warriors like him. Steve Kerr has almost like a fatherly type affection toward him. Like I've always said on Locked On Warriors that the best and a description of Poole I've read is that he's like the little brother. He's the annoying little brother. I should add that word. Like Steph, Dre, they love him. I mean, but you saw Steph throw his mouthpiece and get ejected in game because of Poole. Draymond lost his cool and punched him. He's the annoying little brother that sometimes gets under their skin, and then they make up 30 minutes, an hour later. And they do love him. They consider him a part of the family. It will be interesting to see what happens though if they get eliminated early, because then you could see a move for like an OG Anunoby, whatever like is out there that they could get for that salary slot. If they lose early, I could see that. The Warriors are going to make massive changes this offseason if they're out like now or the next round. That I'm very sure of.
What do you got unlocked on the rest of the week, Cy? What, to tease it right here. We still have over 300 people in the chat. We're approaching 1 o'clock in the morning.
It's incredible.
It's been incredible. The playoffs bring people out. And also, you know what? This has been a good fucking show tonight.
Yeah,
all you guys have brought a lot of great analysis. It started with Rye talking about going to rehab, and of course we had a full chat, but man, a lot of good comments. And
Dude, Rye, man, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that was like I felt like that was a lifetime ago that Rye was on here.
I know. And then people
Did you
were
know
being
that?
critical. People, no, I had no idea.
That's crazy.
And people, didn't. I've got 25 starred chats. Should we get him right here?
Yeah, dude,
We'll do it
I'm
right
not
here.
going anywhere.
All right, you're not going anywhere? All right, so Cheshire Cat throws $10 super sticker. Thank you, Cheshire Cat, for the donation.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah.
Mitchell and Ness from early tonight. Laura Britt was so upbeat for the Giants postgame show. I thought they won the fucking game.
What are your Laura Britt thoughts? I don't know anything about her, man. Like, is she cool? Is she? I mean,
she's cool. She's cool.
What's
she's
the lowdown? Okay, cool.
I don't really have a lowdown on her. I've met her. She seems like a pretty cool girl, and she seems like she's organically knows her stuff. If you don't know your stuff, you can't fake it. She knows her stuff. So yeah, I think she's cool, and I think she knows her stuff.
Nice, man.
So she's pretty good.
Good stuff.
Mark Graves from earlier tonight. The band is back together tonight. Nick J says the baller is a fucking G. So much belief in his takes. Let's fucking go. There's a lot of swearing on this show. You notice that?
It was crazy that night. Just for like that news broke while I was on his show, and I had to go do Locked On Warriors, man. That was like a massive news story, and I was like, "Do you want to just come with me and just be my guest?" And so we just immediately migrated.
Baller's the man. Baller's absolutely the man.
Awesome,
MF says Farhan's getting fired after this tough stretch.
Ooh, your thoughts, Larry?
I don't think so. I think he's here for a while. Walter Washington, thanks for sharing, Ryan. Praying for you to stay around. Positive people, go Warriors. Somebody was banging on you for lighting a blunt on the same show.
I don't care, man. To me,
like,
dude,
come
if
on.
you're gonna hate on
seriously.
hate on someone having a drink, which is worse for you than this, dude. It's legal.
And also it's like, what? Because Rye had to go to rehab. Cy can't.
Oh, is that the reason why? Is that why I'm getting? I mean, I didn't think about it
because Rye went to rehab, and now you're like you're sparking.
I didn't think about it.
At the end of the day, come on, man. At the end of the day, I do not care. I do not care. I could not care.
For weed? I mean, do people go to rehab for weed? Like, is that even a thing?
I don't know. Nobody I know, but what
I suddenly feel a little bad.
Don't feel bad. You shouldn't feel bad.
Shit, all right.
I don't feel bad. Rye doesn't feel bad. Nobody feels bad. Mitchell and Ness felt bad and was ripping. Get a fucking life. Patrick Casserly says, "Go Cats, Larry. Listen to you on KMBR and 95.7 The Game. Love the honest takes from one Wildcat to another." There you go, Patrick. Fist in the air. Go Cats, get them Cats.
Right?
Go get them Cats. No, that's SI Wildcats. Sing Natius. Sing Natius Wildcats. Go get them Cats. Go Cats, get them Cats. Go get them Cats.
Love it.
MF, Zach Charbonnet or Foskey for the Niners? Oh, Foskey. Definitely. Isaiah Foskey. They don't need another running back. I mean, I like Charbonnet, but I like other backs better in this draft. MF, the Giants acquired an outfielder Cal Stevenson from the A's for cash considerations and then sent him to AAA. Sam Long was DFA to clear a roster spot. Hopefully Sam Long clears waivers and sticks around. He's another one of my brothers, man, from Sac State. I love me some Sammy Long. He's a great dude. I talked to him this spring. New Dawn, Red October. Larry, this team looked good without Draymond. We will release Draymond and sign Clay. Oh, I hope not.
Depends.
MF says Farhan should go run the Las Vegas A's. How about that? That came down.
Have you touched on that at all? The A's?
No. I kind of like the audience. I prefer to have one.
That is a big deal.
Though I did see the mayor of Oakland getting all snippy. What, you're really that surprised? This thing is dragged on forever.
Ever.
Forever. You just think they're just going to sit there forever? Eventually, they were going to do a deal with Vegas. I refuse to make Cavill and Fisher the sole bad guys here when these politicians have been dragging their feet forever. I'm not saying that the state should have paid for it or the city should have paid for it, but I mean, the city's going to benefit directly from their presence. Figure out what the benefit was going to be and then put together your best offer and do it in a timely manner. But no, it didn't happen that way. The leadership's a circus, and they're going to go to Vegas. And we're going to lose out on Bay Area baseball and in American League baseball, and the market's not going to be as entertaining, and that neighborhood's not going to be nearly as safe or as prosperous as it was when the stadium was there. And it's just going to more civic. It's more civic blight. It's going to be more issues and problems, and you're always going to have budget issues. I'm not saying throw millionaires and billionaires all this free money, but I mean infrastructure. It's your city. I'm sure there was infrastructure dollars. I don't know. I don't know.
Did Oakland drop the ball the same way Gavin dropped the ball with the Niners?
I just don't ever think any of these municipalities are ever really committed. The truth is, the only commitment is from the politicians to not have it be on their watch. They'd rather just run out the clock like Jerry Brown did and so many other mayors did, and then just let it be on somebody else's watch, so they can say, "Oh yeah, but they left, but they didn't leave on my watch." So now this current mayor's all pissed off at the A's because they left on her watch.
Shap, is that her name?
No, there's a new mayor.
A new one? Okay.
Brian Iglesias says GP2 could take Poole's minutes, 16 points, plus 16 tonight. Plus, he's still struggling from the field. 4 for 13 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3 in 28 minutes tonight. Could see him play 15 to 20 minutes.
Larry, you've been saying this a lot about Poole, which is true. He just shouldn't shoot as many threes. Like, if you look at his shooting numbers, he was 4 for 13, but he was 1 for 7 from 3. That means he was actually 3 for 6.
Why would somebody who could beat people off the dribble at will, who can hang in the air and he shoots 95% from the goddamn foul line?
Yeah.
Why is he not driving? Like, two of the best things that you do are beat people off the dribble and make free throws. To me, you should be shooting and what's his 3-point shooting percentage? 32%, 35%? What is it?
32.5 during the regular season.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's not good.
It's not good. He needs
You're not Steph, bro.
Exactly. He needs to quit the 3 if it's not falling, man, because he has too much talent to make up for it. Like I said, he shot 50% from 2 tonight. That's not bad.
Yeah. Go to the bucket.
You've been saying that for a long time.
Pound the dribble.
Yeah.
There's going to come a time when you're going to be old and beat up and you're not going to be able to beat people off the dribble. And then you're going to need your shot. Right now, you don't even need it. Just go to the tin, especially on this team where you've got other guys who want to shoot threes. Go to the rim, penetrate.
Yeah.
That's how you fit in best on this team.
There was a play tonight. Oh, sorry. I was just saying there was a play tonight where
ahead.
Steph was wide open next to him and he took the 3 and missed it. And Steph kept his cool. I was actually paying very close attention to Steph if he was going to react, and he kept his cool. But you got to give it to Steph every single time if he's wide open. Every time.
Favorite moment of the year was when Klay Thompson told Poole to get off the foul line for the free throw. It's like, yeah, bro, take a hike. It's me.
That was awesome.
Hey, bro, I got a boat. Get out of here. MF, it was awesome too. It was like being tapped on the shoulder. Excuse me.
Like, just gonna.
I think somebody's calling you over there. MF, Michael Thompson is a good listen on 710 ESPN. I love MF, man. He's a sports talkaholic. He's always telling me who's good. AJ Lamb 88. You guys need to talk about the non-Embiid ejection versus Draymond. We did.
Yeah, we did.
I saw that earlier. I starred that. Riddy Musich, who made a nice donation earlier, said, dude, if the Warriors win the next game 2-2, these Sacramento players might not be able to handle the pressure. They're really young, and I already saw winning frustration on the bench tonight. That's interesting. Senior softball games, responding to Mitchell and Ness, just not cool. Rye comes because Mitchell and Ness was bashing Rye. Seriously, I got to say this right now. All you people at the start of the chat that were bashing a guy telling you about he's going to rehab and he's come to a crossroads in his life and all you can fucking say is talk goddamn Warriors. I mean, come on, guys.
Were they doing that?
Seriously. Yeah.
Rough.
There were people who were just like, nobody gives a crap. It's like, dude, if you don't give a crap, that's fine. You think every point of a live stream has to be titillating? It's like, hey, you know what? He's our friend, and he was in here and he was telling us about what he's going through. And I realize he's maybe not your friend, but I mean, at least respect me as the host. It's the Krueger show. He's my friend, right? I mean, please. And then he says, just not cool. Rye comes on here tonight on the show, talks about his struggles with drugs. Oh, now he's this is the guy ripping you. And now Cy's puffing on blunts again. Any other night, cool, but not tonight.
Well, just in my defense,
I disagree. I disagree.
And I didn't know
Rye's his own man. Cy's his own man. They're going through different things. If Cy can handle it, great. And if Rye can't handle it, then that's on. Then Rye needs to, find the solution. But the solution to Rye's problem is not, Cyrus not.
And look, that idea never came to mind. That I was like, smoking weed, like smoking a blunt, whatever.
I mean, if we were all in the same room and he had to smell it, then it would be like, dude, what's up? What's up with that? We got one guy trying to rehab it. It's like doing a show from a bar with a guy who's an alcoholic. But we're all in our homes. We're all doing, we're all.
And I guess I never think of weed as like a hard drug like that. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Maybe it is.
I never think of it
green glass. It's a gateway. It's a gateway drug. Green glass full says Warriors are better without Draymond. Sorry, but it's true. Nah, come on. Cheshire Cat. Larry's a dude I believe in. Oh, thank you. He's a great radio personality and good at bringing people together. I could be like Jimmy Carter. Here's Egypt, and here's who did he bring together?
I don't know. Together. I don't know who he brought together.
Anwar Sadat and somebody else. I forget.
I just saw he had a brother who sold beer or something, right? He had some funky brother,
Billy Carter. That's right, Billy Carter.
Billy Carter beer.
A lot of controversy.
Billy beer, isn't it what it was called? Billy beer.
I don't know about that actually. There was a lot of controversy. I was a very young kid. I was less than 10. Tammy McDaniel. I would trade Poole. Mitchell and Ness. Poole is just cringe to watch. Yo, trading Poole would be dumb. He can make plays and get to the rim. Nobody else can except Steph. Amar Singh.
He was the sixth man on a world championship team. That has to be taken into consideration as well. We're not even a year removed from that. That's
true. Amar Singh says Adam Silver sucks.
Yeah.
Carlo P says nice shirt, Krug. You like that? The Caceres?
Did not notice that till just now, man. That is awesome.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
Amar Singh, JD knows his ball. There you go. And Val Ramos, JD is right on. And just in the last couple minutes of reading those 25 chats, we have 100 new chats.
Oh my God!
At 1 o'clock in the morning, 100 people have jumped in the chat since the last chat. I mean, wow. It's an amazing. The chat is just. It's the YouTube audience is incredible. The chat is incredible. A skyscraper says, "Great show, Cheshire Cat. We fucking love you, Larry. Thank you." Got this from Tammy McDaniel, who can be harsh. She says, "Larry, the best Warriors live stream."
Tammy always says nice things about me. Thank you, Tammy. You're really sweet.
Lee Gowland from the UK. Great show, Larry. Take the next 6 hours off.
Just 6.
Grant Napier tomorrow morning at 9:30 on his channel.
Oh my God! Oh wow, that's so.
So I'm gonna be turning it around quick.
Work hard,
that's
man.
All right.
You work hard.
That's all right. It's fun though, man. We're having fun. What else? Let's see. One here from Golden State 49ers. Good point on Poole. I just think he needs to buy into his point guard role more. He's not Steph Curry. I'll get this one. G. Martinez's sigh is ripped. Are you ripped?
Now I am. It took me the whole night. I'm pretty blazed.
Cheshire Cat just went with hard nips. There you go.
Love hard nips.
I mean, come on. I mean, it's universal. It's universal.
How
Tammy McDaniel, Cyrus is cool.
Thank you. Thanks, Tammy. You're sweet.
We got a lot of mention more hard nips. I'm not sure.
What triggered that?
I'm not really sure. Is it not something? Is it me? Is it something I said?
I don't know. Do you have heart? Do I? I don't know.
I don't know.
Really pay attention.
I'm
It is
starting.
cold in here.
If I start to think about it, maybe they'll change on me. Tammy McDaniel says exactly, Larry.
Oh.
Not sure what that even is in reference to. It doesn't matter. Kevin F says Kevin Johnson legit saved the Kings. I don't know. I can't. The things I know about KJ, I can't even.
I don't know. I need to inform myself because all I knew about Kevin Johnson, besides his playing career and Cal and Phoenix and stuff, was that
there's controversies.
He did that. He saved the Kings. That he was the mayor when the Kings, who were about to leave to Seattle, stayed. But apparently there's controversy. I need to do my research.
Yeah, there's controversies. I mean, you could Google them and just
I will. Yeah, I will.
Go in there and then look for controversies. You'll see something about well, I don't even want to get into it.
Oh,
Mitchell and Ness, Larry, you are fucking dumb. I didn't say anything.
Oh, whoa,
Wow.
whoa. Little harsh, man.
Whoa.
Roll, buddy. Slow the
Easy,
roll.
Mitchell and Ness. Wait a second.
That
Go
went from 0 to-
easy, brother. Suddenly, I'm looking security.
Calm down, man.
Easy. I may have to hire a bouncer at Club Krug. You got to go with the effing dumb. You couldn't just say dumb. You got to go effing dumb.
Oh my god.
Oh man,
my
that's
God.
top rope. You wonder why some people get blocked. I lead the universe, by the way, in hey man, you blocked me a few weeks ago, but I just got drunk off my ass and I made some stupid comments. I actually really love your content. I'd like to be back. Is it cool? Can you unblock me? And because I don't even know how to block anybody and I don't know how to unblock anybody,
Right.
that right there, I've got to make 3 phone calls, call one of my backroom tech guys. Hey, there's this guy and his name's Mitchell and Ness and he got drunk. He alienated me. He got blocked. Now he's begging his way back. Could you just reinstate his ass? He wants to get back in. You sure you want him back in, Krug? Yeah, what the hell? Then a couple weeks later, F off, douchebag, And then all of a sudden, you know what? Block him again.
Oh my god, man.
There are people that I used to block annually. Hey, you know what? I'm letting you back in the pool, but then by mid-January, you're annoying as shit and you're blocked again. Lee Gallen says, love that, Larry. Take no shit, brother. Thank you, Lee. I learned it from you, Lee. I learned it from your side of the pond. Lee's a big watcher in the UK.
Oh, nice. A lot of Warriors fans.
What's it in London right now? What time is it in London?
I think they're 9 or 10 hours ahead of us. So
Let's check. Let me check
it's
my
a late
world
morning.
clock.
It's a late morning for.
It's 8:56 a.m. Good morning, Lee. Good morning, Lee. Hope you had a nice breakfast. and welcome to the Krug Show. It's a morning show. Val Ramos says, Larry, weed is legal now. It is? I didn't know that.
It's awesome.
Is it legal everywhere or just in certain states?
No, certain states. It's crazy. So I moved to Texas for 2 years from 2015 to 17. It was I had an opportunity to be a full-time professor. It's one of the hardest jobs to get in this world. And so I was like, they wanted me at the University of Houston. So I said yes. And I taught there for 2 years. And I had to resort to meeting people in parking lots for just, it was like being a kid, man, all over again. It was crazy, dude. So it depends on the state. Absolutely.
We got this one from Kevin F. Best post-game dub show right here.
Agree with
Eddie
that.
says, Larry, do you have any of your adventures stories to tell?
Oh,
I can use a nice story. Yeah, I can tell you a little story. I had a doofus 6'9" roommate in college.
Oh,
and
6'9". Wow.
6'9", doofus, total doofus. He was. I was going to Sac State. He was living on our couch. He went to American River College. We went out to the gym one night. I was getting ready to go out with my girlfriend, and my roommate comes downstairs and said, "Hey, we got a 6-foot bong. Can you light the 6-foot bong? It's my birthday." And I said, "Oh yeah, you know what? we actually saved you some weed, and we've got it upstairs. Go in and grab it." And he told him where it was. Bring it down. I'll light the 6-foot bong for you. So my roommate's taking the 6-foot bong rip. And I've got, we take out the bong, we change the water, we throw some ice cubes in there. He's all fired up. He's got a big date. He's fired up. And the weed, he brings down the bag, and it's just, there's like nothing left. It's all gone. So my 6'9", he didn't have a car, so I went up driving him to this girl's house. He's pissed. He's sober. I'm apologizing. I'm like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, bro. I really don't know what happened. There was stuff in there for you. I saved it for you. And he's like, don't worry about it, Krug. He's like, what do you think actually happened? And there's only one other guy that lived there. So I'm like, I think that moron smoked the weed.
Okay.
And he goes, dude, what are you going to do to him? And I'm like, you know what? I just thought about it. I go, I got to lay down the law on this guy. This is ridiculous. So he's like, oh, dude. He's like, he goes, I don't even want to go on this date. Just let's go back home and wait for him to come home. I can't wait till you confront him. And I go, you know what? Now go on your date. So he goes on the date. I go back home. Now my 6'9" idiot roommate is sitting on the couch eating a bowl of my cereal, right? He's now eating my food. And I said, dude, what happened to blankety blank's bong rip? He's like, oh yeah, man, I smoked that earlier. And I just flipped out on him. I walked up to him as he's eating cereal off this table, and I picked up the table and I threw it at his face. I just flipped the table, the cereal bowl, the milk, everything's all over the place. He's wearing cereal, he's wearing milk, he's got a table on him, and I just teed off on him. I just went to town on him, and it didn't last very long. But my other roommate jumped in and he's like, dude, what's up? I'm like, dude, this. So I told him, I go, he's eating my cereal. He's sitting there. He's like, dude, you're gonna throw a table at him for eating your cereal? I'm like, no, dude. He smoked blankety blank's, bong rip that was, and smoked the rest. And he goes, my other roommate goes, you should have kicked his ass more. I mean, it was classic. It was a classic moment.
Crime, son. That's a crime, man.
So there you go, Eddie. There's the adventure from 1989. Krug at Cadillac Drive Apartments throwing a table at his roommate for smoking his bag.
Well, those are the worst stoners, man. The freeloaders. They're the worst.
Freeloaders. Freeloaders. And you know what? The only reason we let this guy live with us, because he was a geek and a half. The only reason we let him live with us is because we had incurred gambling debts. Like we had lost a lot of gambling money. So it's like we let him stay in the room and we were, I was charging this guy like $700 a month rent. And our entire rent was like maybe $1,000 a month. So we were paying the two of us, it was three of us. The two of us were sharing $300. We were paying $150. He was paying $700. But I told him, I said, hey, if you want to live with us, because he wanted to live with us because we had all the parties and there was people coming over, stuff going on. He went to American River College. He had nothing going on. Anyway,
the community college, American River.
Good stuff.
Are housing prices in Sacs still at those kind of prices? I could kind of picture them maybe being that, but I also have no idea about the.
Oh, as far as rent.
Yeah, like can college students still rent a house, like and afford it?
Seriously, I mean, oh my God, I mean, I think rent in the 90s in Sacramento was like a couple $100 a month,
right?
Like $200, $300 a month. It's probably like $600 or $700 a month.
Okay, because your oldest son is going to Cal Poly.
Yeah, well, his thing's way more expensive. It's like,
dude, that's a crisis in San Luis Obispo because that's one of the schools I teach at is down there, and I'm lucky to do it remotely. Because housing's a fucking nightmare, man. It's like you can't find anything. I don't know. Like, what did your son do? Like, he found a room.
He's got a roommate. He's got a little duplex that he lives in, but it's still expensive.
That's not cheap though. Like, that's
I mean, we're talking about. I mean, I probably pay $1,000 a month for his rent. I mean, it's ridiculous
rough. For room.
Yeah, seriously,
for room, dude.
I know. I don't know if I like that kid anymore now that I think about it. Kevin F. says, Kevin Johnson had lots of previous scandals that ended his political career, but he made it his mission to save the Kings, who were trying to build a new stadium. Oh,
So was he just like a Me Too'er? Is that what did him in? To summarize it very broadly and
I think well, I don't want to get into it. I really don't want to get into it.
Fair enough,
But I don't want to be on public record saying anything about this.
Right. I'm looking right now at his Wikipedia page, and there's a whole section that's called controversies.
Yeah, there's
a whole section with different headlines within it. Like one says sexual assault and harassment allegations. Next one, high school investigation. Next one, St. Hope Academy's misuse of AmeriCorps funds. Next one, problem with real estate. Next one, pieing incident. And then it stops there. I got a lot to read.
There's a lot there. Golden State 49 says, damn, Krueger's serious about his bud. It was college. It was college.
Business, dude.
At that time, that was a big deal back then.
Dude, that time weed was business, man.
Eddie K says, story time with Larry, Tammy, McDaniel. Great story, Larry. Thank you. Larry, we need an autobiography ASAP. You mean a bibliography? Oh, an autobiography. You want me to tell the story, the Larry Krueger story?
Yeah, the memoir.
Chapter 5.
Ashley, yes, by the way. I teach at Cuesta. I advise the student newspaper there and teach intro to mass comm. I love SLO, dude. I mean, Larry, you love SLO as well.
I love it.
So
it's the best.
It is the best. Yeah, absolutely.
Ashley Keating says, Cy, I used to live in SLO. Where do you teach? Cuesta.
Correct. Yeah.
Cuesta's the JC there. It's a great JC. Yeah. I almost went there. I almost went to Cuesta.
Well, Cuesta, so I went there for 3 years. Like I went to Humboldt State University first. And I took my sweet time in college because my parents, I skipped a grade.
What was Humboldt like? Because I played lacrosse in college. We played at Humboldt State.
I did too. So our schools, we were different years, but I played college lacrosse as well, man. Because college lacrosse, at least back then, it was a lot.
Well, it was like club. It wasn't NC2. I wasn't playing.
Exactly.
Sac State wasn't NC2A. It was more club.
There was no NC2A in California. Like that's all it was. It was just clubs. Like
there might have been for like Whittier and some of the smaller schools down in LA, but not
schools, man. Like
we played Davis. We played Davis. We played Humboldt. We played Sonoma State.
That's awesome.
But it was awesome. We used to go out after the games. Both teams would go out and party together.
Exactly, dude. Like exactly. So that's what we did. That's what we did too. Can
I tell you my lacrosse story? I'm playing lacrosse freshman year. My high school team was fucking great. Awesome. We were really good. I get to Sac State. It's kind of like a club thing, right? We're practicing for months. Months we're practicing, right? And now it's the first game. It's the first game. I've been practicing with this team for months. I'm easily the most experienced guy on the entire team. Like everybody else could barely play because they'd barely been playing. Hardly any schools even played lacrosse in high school in the late 1980s.
Yeah, it's exploded now. It's huge now. Back then,
so I'm the crease defenseman, and all of a sudden we're about ready to start. And some guy who's like 35 years old pulls up in a pickup, and everybody's like, "Hey, it's Scotty Jamal! What's up, Scotty Jamal?" And they're like, all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, he plays crease defense." I'm like, "That's my spot." And they're like, "Yeah, well, Scotty's been with us for years." I'm like, "Dude, we've been practicing for like 4 months. He's never even shown up to one practice. Now we're at the first game and you want me to sit the bench because some guy got out of a pickup named Scotty Jamal?" And it was just ridiculous. They're like, "Well, dude, Scotty's been playing on the team a while." I'm like, "How old is Scotty? Scotty looks like he's got kids." I mean, seriously, it was crazy. The guy was like 35. He had maybe he was taking like a part-time class at Sac State. He was everybody's favorite buddy. And so I sat the bench on the first game, even though I was probably the most experienced player on the team, because some rando shows up who hadn't shown up to practice for months. And they're like, "Yeah, he starts." I was so pissed. I mean, I was so
that
pissed.
I had the same feel, man. I do. And somebody asked about my former students or current students. Like I try to help them out as much as I can. Like one of like in Rick Barry's podcast channel, there's 3 shows, and one of the 3 shows is a former student of mine. I loved his work at St. Mary's, and I gave him his own show there. I don't know if he's not making much money doing it, but hopefully it leads to something. But anyways, yeah, man,
PMG says, Larry, you ever see Larry Allen at Sonoma State? I never saw Larry Allen at Sonoma State, but this Italian menswear place, Caceres, also had a relationship with Larry Allen, and I've met Larry Allen a bunch of times, and then I met him when he played for the Niners. Larry Allen had the biggest buys I've ever seen in my life. I mean, seriously, his biceps were just monster. And he drove a red Rolls Royce Stretch. So you're talking about he's rolling around town in a Stretch Rolls Royce that was red. I mean, it was just like
incredible,
unbelievable. Larry Allen, cool guy. I think one of the greatest offensive linemen in the history of the NFL.
I agree. I totally agree. I almost forgot he played for the Niners at the end, right? For a couple years or a year, or
a couple years. Yeah, I think it was a couple years. He's beast of a blocker.
One
of the strongest people I've ever met. One of the strongest linemen I've ever watched. I mean, I can't imagine there was anybody any stronger than Larry Allen.
Yeah, but he also beat the Niners a lot when he was with the Cowboys.
Awesome. Oh God, he's one of the greatest. He made the Niner O-line look bad.
Yeah,
or Niner D line, I should say, look bad. He was an incredible O-lineman. Tammy McDaniel says, "I'd love to have Cyrus as a teacher. That would be awesome." 100.
I try to make it fun, man. I real quick here. Larry Allen is a resident now of Danville, California, and his son is an offensive lineman for Harvard, or was, and yeah. Just want to throw that out there. So Danville,
great guy. Larry Allen, one time I'm standing outside the Niner complex and he's getting ready to get in his car. And he's like hunting around his front seat for a dip. And he yells to somebody. He's like, "Man, who's got my Copenhagen?" And somebody ran out with an extra can of Copenhagen. Okay. He cracks the can. He reaches down into the can. I'm standing right there. He took out, sorry, I'm not even joking, 3/4 of a brand new can of Copenhagen, 3/4 of the tin.
Oh my God.
Just put the entire thing in his lower lip. And I was like, the lower lip was like out to there. I've never seen such a fat dip in my life.
That's crazy.
And I said to him, I go, Larry, that's a fat ass dip. And he just started laughing. He started laughing, and like you're seeing dip kind of come out. I'm like, that is the fattest dip I've ever seen. He's like,
dude, I used to dip, man.
Oh, it was hilarious.
It was one of my guilty pleasures. I still will sneak a Skull Bandit in every once in a while because those things aren't messy, right? They're in the little pouches. So you just put one in and just sit there and just.
Man, it's a tough habit, though, man. It's a tough habit.
It's a brutal.
I had a hard time, but you know how I finally broke that myself with a habit was because I never chewed at all until I got to the Canadian Football League, and we're sitting there watching film for 5 hours. Every guy in the room was dipping, and they were like, "Hey, you want to dip? You want to dip?" Eventually, I'm like, "Yeah, what the hell?"
Yeah.
That's how I got into it. I wound up dipping for like 10 years.
Yeah, it's addictive.
Seriously,
man.
it's
so
tough. But I'll tell you, I read an article on it, and it said, I've always been one of these people, if I can like rationalize it, I can overcome it. So I read this article in this magazine about how to quit smokeless tobacco. And the thing was that 90% of the physical withdrawal that you have when you stop dipping comes in the first 72 hours.
Oh, okay.
So if you can get beyond 3 days, you're home.
You're home.
You're home. You're home free. It's just those first couple of days, you're just going crazy. Oh my God, I gotta get a chew. I gotta get a chew. What helped me was sunflower seeds. Then I had to go with the low sodium because there's too much sodium. You can't put that much sodium in your mouth. You kill your gums, and it just chews you up.
I used
But
to
yeah.
dip every day, and I never
Go
went
low
to,
sodium sunflower seeds. Even now, it's like if I was at my kid's high school baseball game today, it's like I start to crave, chew.
sunflower seeds. Yeah.
So then I pack a bunch of sunflower seeds down there, and then
I've
I
seen
just
you do that. You
Yeah.
in your car, you have sunflower seeds everywhere.
I have sunflower seed residue everywhere.
Yeah,
I got dust everywhere. I got a lot of you need sunflower seeds. I know a guy. And you know what? I can't go with the like barbecue or ranch or any of that crap. I got to go just strict like regular.
And I like the low sodium approach, man.
You got to go low sodium.
Yeah,
you got to go low sodium.
Yeah, I never did Copenhagen. It was too fine, man. That stuff gets all over your mouth, and if you
Dude, I used to broadcast when I was doing the night show at KMBR. I used to broadcast with a dip in.
Dude, I think your former partner at KMBR, Tolbert, still dips. He likes the cherry. He likes the cherry skull. But I told him, I said, T, you know what? The cherry skull has the highest percentage of glass. You know, there's glass in there. Yeah. That's why. Yeah,
there's glass shards in the tobacco because it cuts your lip, and then it gets in. That's how it works. But there's the highest percentage of glass is in the cherry, and he loved the cherry. I went Copenhagen long cut. We went from go from the snuff to the long cut. There you go.
I did just a skull long cut. It was, I forgot what flavor. It was wintergreen. They had one flavor that was pretty good. It was either that or just plain. And
wintergreen was the most popular. I did an interview earlier this year in the Niner locker room with Dre Greenlaw, and I'm like, hey man, you got a couple minutes? And he's like, yeah. And then right before we're starting, he's like, hey man, I got a dip in. Is that okay? I'm like, what the hell? I don't care. And he's like, I go, Copenhagen? And he looks at me and he's like, no, man, I got a little grizzly.
Oh, I've never done that.
I've never done grizzly either. I goes, how is grizzly compared to Copenhagen? He's like, I like grizzly. But yeah, he had a big old dip in. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not good for the kids to see that. I'm like, I don't think so.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'm like, we won't talk about it or anything. You know, and Dre Greenlaw joins us with a little grizzly in right now. How's the grizzly doing? But it's like it wasn't over. It wasn't Larry Allen. It wasn't like you couldn't see the dip. It was pretty deep in there. It was a little bit more subtle.
The reason why I quit is because I did it for a few years, and one day I looked at my gum. I always did it on one side. It was always the same side, and it just felt better like that. And then one day my gum line on that side was like noticeably lower than the other. I was like, holy shit! I just stopped. I quit like that day. And like I said,
dude,
a few times a
crazy.
year I'll keep.
So I went to my oral surgeon guy, and he's like, I'm like, don't you think I've been chewing for a number of years? Don't you think I should quit? And he's like, nah. Seriously. I was looking for like, hey, don't you think I should quit? He's like, nah. He's like, just get your lip biopsied and we'll take a look at it and this and that. So now you're gonna dig a chunk out of my lip, but you don't think I should quit? Like, nah. You're fine. So he biopsies my lip, and then he's like, yeah, see, it's nothing. You're fine. I'm like, you know what? I'm quitting. That's enough right there. When the oral surgeon tells you you're good, that's when I thought for sure he was going to be like, dude, this is serious stuff. You should quit this. But Tony Gwynn died.
That's fucking sad.
Tony Gwynn died from chewing.
Because of it. Yep, because of that. That's the dark side of this, man. You're absolutely right, dude.
Yeah, you don't. That's
and I think he suffered.
Did I ever tell you my Tony Gwynn story?
No, love to hear it.
Oh my god. Okay, this is the last story, and then we'll get out of here. It's already 1:17.
Jeez, yeah, I didn't realize.
1998. I'm traveling with the Giants, doing what was I doing? Maybe I was doing weekends on KMBR. I forget, but I'm traveling with the Giants. We're in San Diego. We're staying at that awesome hotel they stay at. So I go out to the ballpark on Friday, and I see it's like 4:00 night game, whatever the night game, that 7:00. Go into the Padre clubhouse, see Tony Gwynn and Ricky Henderson. They're both standing right there. They're both on this team.
Wow, Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky, Greg Vaughn was there too. Ken Caminiti. It was a great team. 98 Yankees won. 98 Padres won the pennant They went
Yeah.
to the World Series, and only the best team of my lifetime, the '98 Yankees, were the only thing that beat them.
In
So
6,
anyway,
right? It wasn't a sweep, was it? It was 6, right?
yeah, because Gwynn, I think Gwynn. No, I thought it was. I thought it was. Was it? What? I think it was 4 straight.
It was a sweep.
I
98.
think it was 4 straight. '98 Yankees 4 straight. Maybe it might have been 5. I think it was 4 straight. That was the one where Gwynn hit the upper tank in Game 1. I think against I forget who it was, but Andy Pettit or somebody went upper tank at Yankee Stadium. Anyway, so Tony Gwynn is there, and
Oh, it wasn't
and-
98. 98 was the Rangers.
What's that?
Wait. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, 98 was
I'm an
Padres.
ass. I'm an ass. I apologize. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. I interrupted for no good reason.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
anyway, so I go up to Tony Gwynn, and I'm like, Tony, how you doing? Larry Krueger here. I do a weekend show with the Giants on the flagship station. I'm beyond this weekend. I'd love to have you on. I got a recorder. Can we do an interview? And he, in his total high pitched voice, is like, in a real high pitch, high. You know, it's like that kind of high. And he's like, you know what? I don't have time right now, but if you show up tomorrow at 7:00 in the morning, I'll give you as much time as you want. And then he walks off with carrying his baseball bat. And I'm standing there and I'm just kind of looking. I'm like, and Ricky Henderson looks right at me and he goes, "You're going to show up at 7:00, right?" He's like, he was serious. He's going to be here at 7:00. He's going to give you that interview if you show up. But when you just made that plan with him, Tony's for real. You just said you were going to be here tomorrow at 7:00. You better show up because he's expecting you to show. I mean, I was like, he doesn't even know me, Ricky, but you're telling me to show up. And I go, yeah, I'll show up. I'm here all weekend. I'm staying across the street at the hotel. I'll show up at 7:00 in the morning.
Incredible.
But I'm thinking to myself, I'm kind of was glad that he said that because I'm like, you know, because I thought he was blowing me off. Right? I mean, I'll show up tomorrow at 7:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I get there 6:45. There's a guard, lets me in to the Murph.
Yeah.
I go into the clubhouse.
This is the Murph days.
It's
Okay.
at the
okay,
Murph.
this wasn't
Yeah, this is
Petco.
the Murph.
All right. Way different location. You weren't in downtown or anything. Like that was Mission Valley, right? Is that where that?
Yeah, Mission Valley. So I get out there. I had a rental car, so I get that. I drive from the hotel. I get out there, 6:45. Security guard lets me in, points me to the clubhouse. I walk towards the clubhouse. I get in there. Nothing. There's nobody in the clubhouse. Lights are dark.
Oh,
Lights are dark. There's nobody there. I'm like, fuck.
that's brutal.
Why did I fall for that? I go, he was just blowing me off. God dang it.
But you had to go.
Right.
You
I had to go.
Yeah. I mean,
So I'm walking out of the room and a light goes on at the other end of the clubhouse. And there's some clubby down there. And he goes, "Hey, you." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Are you the radio guy?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, Tony's out at home plate. He said to meet him out there. I said, "What? Really?"
what?
He goes, "Yeah." He said, "Meet him at home plate." I go, "Awesome. Thanks. How do I get there?" You just go through this corridor, that door, and that hallway. There you go. Takes you to the field. I get out there. It's now like 7:15. It's a totally empty stadium, and it's Tony Gwynn and Greg Vaughn hitting balls off a tee. Tony's putting him up for Greg, one after another, 20 or 30. Greg's then putting 20 or 30 on a tee for Tony, one after another. Tony sees me, and he goes, "Hey, young fella." He's like, "I didn't think you were going to show up." And then I said, "Ricky told me that I should." And he's like, Ricky knows." So he does the, 15 more minutes of hitting balls off the tee. And then we sit down. He gets a cup of coffee, puts in a dip. And we sat there and he did an hour with me. An hour.
That's crazy.
Tony
man.
Gwynn and me sitting in the dugout talking hitting, talking about Maddox, talking about Will Clark, talking about the batting title, talking about, because he had gone up against Will Clark in 89, and we're talking about the end of the 89 season, talking about the Giants, the Padres, living in San Diego, playing basketball at San Diego State. Just
Yeah.
an hour he sat there. and gave me a kind of the bro hug at the end, and it was amazing. And we played this hour. I played like 20 minutes on the radio that day, and then I went and like the whole next week I cut it into like 10-minute segments, and I played it at night throughout the week. My sit down with Tony Gwynn, and I think even Salvador, who ran the state radio station, he's like, you got Tony Gwynn to sit down with you for an hour? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I don't know what you said to him, kid, but good job. That was great stuff. And this was like 1998. I was only been on the radio at that point at KMBR for about a year. So, it's just an amazing. Sometimes you meet people, sometimes they let you down. Sometimes you meet your heroes and they're not good guys, or they blow you off, or they make you dislike them or whatever. Sometimes you meet some of these guys and they're like unbelievable, better than you could ever imagine. Tony Gwynn was better than you can imagine.
Bravo, Larry.
Freaking believable.
One hell of a story, man. Good night,
Carlo.
everyone.
Great story.
Yeah.
There you go. Krug's the real deal. Gwynn was unreal. He was. Great guy.
He was.
Golden State
really
State 49ers. Yeah, Krug, we need a book on your life ASAP.
A memoir.
Yeah. So there you go. There's our story of the night. Eddie says, Larry, did Ricky speak to you in third person?
Did he?
No.
But Ricky thinks you should call Tony.
But
Ricky Tony at 7.
Ricky did openly talk in the clubhouse in third person all the time. Ricky's going to go 2 for 4.
What a character, man.
Ricky's going to steal 5 bases in this series. You don't throw that to Ricky. He'd say, seriously, I'm not even joking. To me, and if you really think about it, Ricky Henderson might be the most underrated player in the history of baseball. Think about it. He stole 130 bases in a season. Nobody steals half that many now.
And he had years
130.
And he had power. He had years where he had like
power.
28 like homers.
He played forever. Guy played until he was like 45. Amazing.
People missed out on him. And he had a rival too. Like was it with Tim Raines, or was it the guy with the Cardinals?
Vince Coleman.
Vince Coleman, yeah. There's those two were like his rivals, right, for stolen bases, but they never got him. But
nobody. But
they kind of pushed him a little bit. Like without them, I feel like he would have no competition.
Ricky was incredible.
He was, yeah, he was absolutely.
All right, brother, good stuff. Have a great night. I'm gonna play a couple spots. I'll let you go, but 256 people in the chat at 1:26 in the morning.
Bravo, Larry Krueger. That's
unbelievable.
Fucking impressive.
Unbelievable.
Bravo,
bro. We'll talk to you Sunday.
Love you, man. Good night, everyone.
Love you too,
Thank
bro.
You. Thanks,
there
brother.
you go.
Later.
The great sigh. All right, that's what time are we streaming on Sunday after the game? When the game's over, tune in. It's gonna be a great stream. I love doing these playoff post games. Why? Because the games mean more. The games mean so much more. All right, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Great barbecue spot. Check them out. If you're in the Bay Area, go there. Go say hi to Damon. Say hi to Mary. Tell them that I sent you. They're big sponsors of the show, and we love them. Pig and a Pickle. Corte Madera open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Check them out in Emeryville, open Wednesday through Sunday. Pig and a Pickle.
with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
All right, hey, we're bolting for the door. Thanks to Frank Red, Bay Area Baller, Cy, JD, Rye, Danny. Have we left anybody out? Please, if you remind me, did I leave anybody out? We had a full house tonight. We really had a full house tonight. But I have really enjoyed it, and, you know, awesome. Absolutely awesome. Loving it. Ashley says, love the story times, Larry. Oh, yeah. I mean, the nice thing is the stories are just embedded in my brain. I could probably tell stories all night long. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. I'm going to do a quick turnaround. Sleep fast, because at 9:30 tomorrow, I'm going to be joined I'm going to join the great Grant Napier on his channel to break down tonight's game. So look for me tomorrow on Grant Napier's channel right around 9:30 in the morning. Good night, Krug. Appreciate you always. Ashley says, not enough likes for the amount of people watching. Where's all the likes? Anyway, thank you for that. And Val Ramos says, have a lot of respect for Rye. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, to show that kind of vulnerability. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch the beginning of this live stream. Kind of powerful stuff coming from Rye, who's been going. You never know what people are going through, and if we can be here to help support them a little bit, we're going to try to. So sadly, I didn't even. I was working with him every single day in December, and I never noticed anything. So maybe I'm not the most whatever. I'm not the most engaged person. I'm starting to wonder about that. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for supporting the Krug Show. We're approaching 17,000 subscribers. If you've yet to hit like and subscribe, please do. Hit like, hit subscribe. If you hit like, it just helps the algorithm have more people find the shows. If you hit subscribe, it's free, of course. You'll just be given an alert on your phone every time we go live. We go live about 7 to 10 times per week. Usually after Giants baseball or after Warrior basketball or Niner football. I'm doing a lot for the draft, a lot of videos, so I hope you guys are enjoying some of those draft videos on the Niners. I know the Trey Lance thing is getting absolutely tedious at this point. It almost makes me sick to even talk about the 49ers and their quarterback situation at this point, but it's the story. And I predicted a long time ago that I think he's going to be dealt, and I still think he's going to be dealt. So, we'll see. I'm either going to be right and I'm going to have a lot of S to talk, or I'm going to be wrong and there's going to be a lot of people talking S at me. But either way, it's been a lot of fun. Have a great night, everybody. We will see you tomorrow morning on the Grant Napier channel. Go Warriors, F the beam. 2-1, baby.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at.